Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I've subscribed to them.
Let's see. I'll go onto YouTube. Yeah, this is a test stream after all, so it doesn't really matter what happens. But yeah, I mean, let's see. New left voice. Let's see. Test stream. Live now, so it should work.
Why does it say twice? Oh no, that's home and then upload.
Yeah, live now, so it should work. It should work. Okay. So everyone, if you're watching, this is basically a test stream to discuss what we're doing on Wednesday with Swiss. So, yeah, we're just going through some Tony Blair funded Remain propaganda. So, yeah, let's continue. So yeah, our generation, we do care about community, but our generation does want to engage in politics. But you know, the problem until Corbyn came along, I think the establishment scared young people into, you know, that's the whole point, because they were scared. So you know.
Yeah, no one was worried about appealing to the youth either, because there was because like that's why the Tories restricted housing benefit to 18 to 21s. So not at all, because they wanted to. Yeah, and I mean they didn't think young people's votes mattered. Swiss has seen it, and he says he can see it now.
All right, thanks, Swiss. Cool. But anyway, I mean, a big reason for this is the coalition of chaos from 2010 to 2015, because I think Swiss talked about this. If he's watching, he supported Nick Clegg in the 2010 election, and look how that turned out. You know.
Yeah, I said that my mum said she voted Lib Dem to try and keep the Tories out. I wonder how that went for her.
I mean, but the whole thing with they could have done a coalition with Labour, but I think the Lib Dems are too power hungry, so they realised largest party are the Tories, so we're going to go with them. But I don't think
with Labour it would have been a struggle to get stuff through. They'd have needed the SDLP, loads of minority parties, and they thought, well, instead we can always get the ministerial cars and stuff like that. And
yeah, but then again, it's really bad what they did. They did the what was it? The tuition fees. I mean, I'm getting screwed. My parents have to pay for my tuition. I mean, even though I'm not in debt, it's their money that's being wasted. It's ridiculous. I mean, and you're gonna have to pay for it as well. But I mean, unless Corbyn comes around in the next couple of years, I think you'll still have to pay tuition fees, isn't it? So, well, I hope he does come, you know, in the next couple of years. I hope 2019 anyway. But yeah, my left might say TEDx talk. They are wrong. I wonder what that's about. You know, they are wrong.
Voters. How dare those voters vote for Brexit?
How dare those racist, wheelchair-bound old people vote Leave? You know. You know how dare my grandma vote Leave? You know. It's ridiculous. So I'll just check if the stream's still going. It's absurd, but the thing is, with old people, they have experience. Most of them have lived through.
One watching, I expect that's Swiss.
Huh?
One watching it said, I expect that's Swiss.
Yeah. But the thing is, they've had experience about this, and they think it's a bad thing because they realise that they've been conned, haven't they? I mean. And then I remember in the 1975 referendum, Ted Heath stood up and he said, "We will not be giving away our sovereignty or our borders or anything like that." He said it's just a trade deal. And people on the left, you had Tony Benn, Peter Shaw, Barbara Castle. Nobody listened. Like, I mean, what was it? 67% vote to Remain. I mean, nobody heeded their warnings at all. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that I saw this report on the referendum from what's his name? He's quite old. Oh, anyway, this really famous reporter did a little 10-minute video on the 75 referendum and its parallels with now. And the treasurer of the Yes campaign said that their whole argument wasn't based on how great it was to stay in, but he said they portrayed it as it'd be lunacy to come out because look who's telling you.
Oh my god, the parallels.
Look at it, it's Enoch Powell, it's Tony Benn, it's Michael Foot, it's Barbara Castle, it's Peter Shaw.
You know, far right, far left.
Far left, far right,
I mean, you had the same people exactly. It was so-called far left and far right who voted to leave. I mean, I remember Swiss's very first video about this. Swiss, if you're watching, you know, great video. But anyway, it was about his first video was about 52% racist and 52% racist and fools, where he said it wasn't really a fight about the centre ground, so the centre left, centre right, centre. He said it was a true left and true right versus the centre, and he's right because traditional Labour voters voted leave in the Labour heartlands, and of course the Tory voters, like the old people, voted leave as well. So you know that's what happened. So, and also the young, brainwashed, centrist Lib Dem types, Blairite types, voted to remain. So there we go.
Oh, I've seen this. I assume it's a quote. If Corbyn is such a Russian stooge, how come the Russian oligarchs give all their money to the Conservatives? Andrew Neil.
True.
Andrew Neil, of all people.
I know, he's pretty right-wing. I remember I was reading on his history, and he supported the Iraq War, so that is pretty right-wing, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, George Galloway said about him that he might be right-wing, but he's reasonably objective.
Yeah.
And will ask tough questions.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the one where he butchered the guy from Open Britain, where the guy was saying we didn't vote to leave the single market, when he said, when he basically said, David Cameron said we'd vote to leave, so that was final, wasn't it, basically, you know? Yeah, Swiss, if you're watching, we're going through some Remain propaganda, and we're gonna talk about this on Wednesday, so, where was this picture? I need to find it. There we are! There he is! The devil, you know? I mean, Tony Blair. Yeah, sickening. I mean, I felt so, yeah, I don't know, I think that many people thought, Tony Blair, he's new and shiny, he's young, but, I mean, look how badly that turned out. You know, he turned into a warmongering zombie in the end. Brexit committee. You know, BuzzFeed of all places, you know, Remain a haven, like, Brexit impact analysis. But let's be honest, I think these analyses are going to be very pessimistic. I mean, our economy and just general have defied expectations for the past 2 years. So I think we won't be as bad as people say we are, because you know,
who is it that's doing those things? It's the same people that said it'd be a catastrophe if we didn't join the euro.
The euro, and don't forget, it's the same people that said we'd be in a recession on the 24th of June and we lose 800,000 jobs. So. Yeah, why would people still believe this? I'm saying, I wouldn't say write it off completely, but I'd say look at the history, treat things objectively. And I remember, it was ridiculous. Some FBPE guy said to me, I said to him, Corbyn's right on Russia, and he's like, Corbyn accepted money from Hamas, and I was like, where'd you get that fact from? And he linked me to an article from The Guardian from like 2016 after the leadership election. I'm like, dude, I will take a look, but I take everything with a pinch of salt, leave will remain. I'm going to take this with a huge bucket of salt, because The Guardian was heavily anti-Corbyn after his second leadership win. Which is right, isn't it? So, you know, it's ridiculous.
Well, they must have got even more so now, because they only had a couple of columnists that were supporters. One of them was Owen Jones, who betrayed him for a few months. Yeah. And one of them was Paul Mason, who they've now got rid of.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I remember we were talking about this with Calvin, wasn't he? Isn't Owen Jones a bit of a... I would go far as to say he's a champagne socialist, isn't he, a little bit? Because,
yeah, I'd say to an extent.
Because even though he is working class, even though he does have some really good ideas, it's just, especially with his attitude on Brexit, how he said it's a racist vote, it's a divisive vote, you're playing to the hands of the establishment, I think.
Well, yeah, he argued a couple of years before the referendum about the left case against the EU, because obviously it's Greece time. But now, for some reason, he became a Remainer. I think he's just following what Corbyn said to try and be popular with Corbyn supporting.
Yeah. Oh, and also he's been to all the Memento events, all these events. It's just ridiculous. I think he's an attention-seeking child. He might be 34. He might be 33 or 34, but he's still a child, isn't he? He looks like a child anyway.
Oh, I've seen this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
David Osland's tweeted, Caroline Flint on Westminster Hour names her favourite Prime Minister as Ramsay MacDonald.
Yeah.
That's the man who betrayed the Labour Party and went into coalition with the Tories and the Liberals and got expelled from the Labour.
When was this? Sorry, I don't really know much political history.
This is 1930s.
Of course.
Like
that's
one of the first Labour... It was the second Labour government.
Yeah.
Like, they'd had a short one-year government...
Yeah,
as a real small minority.
Wasn't that like in 24 or something?
Yeah, they had a tiny one, 23 to 24.
Yeah.
And then they called snap election and got beaten by the Zinoviev letter in the Daily Mail, which was a forgery that said that which basically said that McDonald was going to collude with the new Soviet Union to spread socialism worldwide or whatever their claim
my
was.
God.
And it was proved to be a forgery later. But then in his second government, from 29 to 31, I think it was about, there was a Labour Liberal coalition.
Yeah.
Well, not coalition, a kind of Liberal supported government.
So like a
And
DP
then,
sort of deal.
yeah, but the Liberals then were nearly as big as Labour. They were both quite small.
Okay.
Like, Labour weren't close to a majority. But anyway, then McDonald said because of the Great Depression, he wanted to cut the rates of loads of things and raise taxes. They wanted to cut unemployment benefit, things like that. And half the Labour members of the cabinet resigned.
Yeah.
And so he could no longer govern. But then he decided to accept the King's invitation to form a national government with the Tories and the Liberals, and all his support expelled.
Wow.
And that's who Caroline Flint thinks he's better than Clement Attlee or Harold Wilson.
Oh my God! But she's a Blairite though, isn't she? I mean,
Blairite. I mean, she thought Gordon Brown was too left wing.
What?
She resigned from his cabinet in 2009.
She left-wing,
It was mainly, she said it was because of leadership, but I think partly she just thought he was too much of a lefty.
Wow! I mean, you know, it's time to join the Tories. Methinks, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, she sounds more like a Cameroon type, I think. Then, if that's the case.
Yeah. Well, she heard the story about her on the EU withdrawal bit was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because she was one of those Labour MPs in working class kind of leave heartlands that abstained. She didn't vote against the bill like the Labour whip said to.
Yeah.
And she didn't vote against it she didn't vote for it like Skinner and Campbell did.
Yeah.
But a couple of other Blairites in places that voted leave said they decided to abstain, and because they wanted to show their constituents they weren't blocking Brexit. And Dennis Skinner, who voted for it, came out and said they were cop-outs.
Yeah, he's right. But you know, this reminds me a lot of Anna Soubry, because she's part of the constituency as well. But she's like stopping Brexit, basically. She's like a Ken Clarke type, isn't she?
She's pretty similar, yeah. She voted to trigger Article 50 because only Clarke voted against from the Tory party. Yeah. But she's been talking against it quite a lot.
She's trying to do all she can to stop it. Well, basically, I think her strategy is, we'll stop Brexit, but we're going to, you know, beat it down until it's stopped, isn't it? That's her strategy. She
basically, she would be alright with us leaving as long as it was Bino, Brexit in name only.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But then again, Brexit in name only would be worse off, so what's the point?
But she doesn't mind. She just loves the single market and customs union.
I mean, she's a Tory after all, isn't she? So.
Yeah.
I mean, she loves that big cash from big business who supplied with, you know, the cash with the Remain campaign. So, you know, big banks and them lots. So obviously, yeah. I mean, another example of the establishment stuff. Michelle Obama, you know, Barack Obama, I think was a terrible president. So I don't know what the point of that is. International Women's Day. Okay, fair enough. That sounds good. International Women's Day. Oh, that's actually something to agree with. Okay. Lord David Willett. Okay. Youth voice. Yeah, interesting. But I mean, the thing is with this youth thing, I think it's just what was that guy called? Is it Femi? I forgot what his name was. Is it Femi? The guy, the anti-Brexit guy. I think this is the type of organisation that he's doing, isn't it? That sort of thing.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, discuss a better Brexit for young people. Their better Brexit is cancelling it, so they might as well leave and go to the EU. You know what I mean? Oh, speaking of Femi, let's have a look at what he's been up to. Femi, sorry, let's have a look. UK is now tight, and that thing's okay. DUP coalition, fair enough. Brexit. majority reverses, could not make this up. The Brexit major. Okay.
Yeah, because they think that their kind of smug thing that they're up to with their oh well, look at all these Brexiteers dying off. We are the future and all the rest of it.
Well,
It's incredibly arrogant.
I mean,
and,
come on. If that's the case, then me, you, Swiss, and Calvin would be dead by now. So.
yeah.
Basically. But anyway. Yeah, could not make this up. I mean, and they're saying we'll be less sovereign after we leave, but I mean, it's a transition period, but it all depends on how the government does it. If we're soft Brexit, then obviously, but if it's proper Brexit, then no. The young people.
So this is another thing. Another thing we could go over is they've been making a big story out of a few Labour staff resigning over Jenny Formby.
Yeah.
Even though it's less than resigned before McNichol took over in 2011.
Oh wow!
It's a bit of a sensationalism for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh, they let him on Big Questions.
Oh no! Speaking, if Swiss is still watching, you should totally watch his parody of Big Questions. It's really funny. Yeah, that was ridiculous. His parody. Femi admitted the outstanding. Okay. Yeah. Being in the EU gives us a great say. Well, no, it doesn't, because it's been reducing. You know, I'd say it's pretty much halved in the EU, hasn't it, basically? So how is it going to be when they allow even poorer countries to come in, like Serbia and Albania? How is that going to work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they say that we have a greater say in the world, and we might do by a little bit as a country, but as the electors, we don't have a greater say.
No.
Like our kind of prime minister can exercise some sort of presidential patronage power by negotiating with other countries and having this big multinational organisation that they can influence and stuff like that. But we can't really influence it. Doesn't matter how we vote in European Parliament.
I remember wasn't it Tony Benn's 5 questions, wasn't it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works, because the EU is
the final one being most important. How can we get rid of you? How can we get rid of the EU Commission?
We can't get rid of the Commission, but I think one guy was talking to me about the Parliament, but you know, what are they going to do? They love the EU. It's their gravy train, so how are they going to get rid of the Commission? You know, it's all one. It's like the Parliament. It's a farce. It's all designed to make it look democratic when it's just exercising the Commission's will, isn't it?
Yeah, and it uses the list PR system, which is one of the worst types of PR, because you can't actually vote for an individual candidate. You vote for a party, and it just says candidates in order.
You see all the candidates, because you see MEP for South East England, MEP for this and that, and you don't even know who these people are. You know. Yeah,
and if, like, let's say they brought this in our elections, you'd have like a London list, and you'd have like 1 Jeremy Corbyn, 2 Wes Streeting, 3 John McDonnell, and you're like, well, I don't want to vote for Wes Streeting, but I really want to vote for Corbyn and McDonnell.
Yeah,
so it's a really bad system.
Because
it's not very easy to influence. Huge constituencies by region, so like North East is the smallest one.
Yeah.
And you don't actually have any real way of influencing the vote on a personal level or connecting with your MEPs or anything like that.
Yeah. The only MEP I like is Farage, which is ironic because he's the one who's trying to destroy the EU. So, you know. Anyway. You know, Remainers watching the stream, don't get triggered or anything, so, you know. Anyway. Well, for the record, I don't like Farage's politics, but he's right on Brexit, and he knows his history, so. Anyway, really gives us great to say. There's another thing, because if we stayed, we'd have to join the Euro, so, there we go.
Yeah, if we reverse now, like, there's a lot of conflicting legal stuff on it.
Yeah,
but if once we left, we
went
back,
the European Parliament themselves have said we'd lose all our so-called opt-outs, so we'd be forced to join the Euro, forced to join the Schengen, forced to join the, we were out some European court stuff as well, so we're going to be forced to join that.
Yeah, we'd lose the justice opt-outs, we'd lose our rebate.
You know, it's just, I mean, they want to reverse Brexit, but they don't see what the consequence of it is, so I think we'd be much better off if we just carried on with it and left. So, if Brexiteers aren't happy and Remainers aren't happy...
I remember this is something we need to bring up. ex-Chancellor George Osborne defending his decision not to plan for Brexit, saying it would have been extraordinary for a pro-Remain government to do so.
Oh my god. The only reason we're in this mess with Theresa May is because of him, really.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair to the people that have taken over, and I don't really want to try and be fair as possible to people like Boris Johnson and Liam Fox, but George Osborne and his government that was before that, they didn't plan for it. Yeah. So any reasonable person would have expected to walk into their department with impact assessments already done.
Yeah, I mean, it's
rather than have to wait.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous because they were so full of themselves. They'd they'd say, "Oh, Cameron's going to be on until 2020. We'll be in the EU. We'll be all happy ever after." But they underestimated the popular surge, didn't they?
Yeah.
But then again,
they just ignored how much some people, even if they're not directly opposed to the EU, just really like giving the politicians a bit of a whack.
Yeah, I mean,
bring them back into life.
I remember. It was Owen Jones interviewing Nick Clegg, and he saw some guy who said to him, "Nick, I'm voting Brexit," and Nick was like, "Why are you doing that?" And he said, "Oh, I just want to mess things up a bit, Yeah, exactly. But then again, I think Brexit is a blow to the EU as well, but they don't realise it. I mean, you saw the rise of the five-star movement of the right-wing parties, of the left-wing parties in Europe, and they don't, they're so delusional. It's like they're in their little bubble, that they don't realise that this is bad for them. So, it's ridiculous. If Brexiteers aren't happy and Remainers aren't happy, tell me why we're doing this again. Because we voted on it and we have to carry on it because we got through a parliamentary act that made
this is a really absurd argument. It's basically saying like if people voted to like unprivatise the NHS, and then the government unprivatised 50% of the NHS, and then the people that were opposed on each side would be upset about it. But guess what? They're starting to do what people voted for.
Yeah, exactly. Please go do the maths. More than the planned 2 years, and then likely trade deals. The thing is, what is wrong about this? We can negotiate trade deals, but we can't put them into place, which makes sense. So I don't understand his point here, because the thing today where it said we can negotiate trade deals but we can't sign them. Well, there's a difference there. I think he needs to realise the difference. So yeah, call referendum due to weakness. No plan of live impact assessment. Corner us into hard Brexit. Well, he's wrong about this because Cameron himself said we'd do a so-called hard Brexit anyway. Plan to leave without any solid agreements.
Hard Brexit is just Brexit. Your choices are either Remain, Brexit in name only, or Brexit, not hard, soft, or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, these people love talking about the Norway option, don't they? It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. The transition period, we're actually surrendering our sovereignty. The EU. Okay. Okay.
Isn't it funny how they're really big fans of Michel Barnier?
Yeah. I mean, they don't. Well, let's be honest. Most of these people don't know who he is, but he's trying to destroy Brexit, so he's our friend. What was it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, isn't it? That's how it goes. So yeah. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Fun stuff. We negotiate better deals on our own. Well, what does a better deal mean? Because a trade deal's a trade deal. We can actually negotiate with poorer countries which are putting tariffs on. That's a good thing. I don't see what his point is here. EU bend because they need us more than we need them. Well, I'd say bit of both. Well, we need them, but they need us because how will Germany's economy survive if we leave with no deal? I mean, all their exports, cars, and then French wine and. Italian...
French cars as well, all the Renaults.
Yeah, Renaults and Citroens and all that stuff as well. And plus I think French companies and German companies make parts here, so how can they do that here,
Yeah.
we negotiate. Okay. Lord and Saviour. No, the EU army thing was a lie. No, it wasn't. Have you seen Jean-Claude Juncker's tweet where he said the beast has awoken? I mean, that tells you everything, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Nick Clegg said the EU army was a dangerous fantasy, and then you have Jean-Claude Juncker praising it. You know, 2 years later, it's ridiculous. Oh look, lies about the EU army. Oh my God, Pesco, veto on defense. UK actually majority Remainers. I don't think the tide is changing because most people are sick of politics and they just want to get on with it. To be honest.
Yeah, most people, if you speak to them or poll them, will just go, you know what we should do? We should just get on with it.
Exactly. No, exactly. I mean, my mum, I think I told you, is like the most reasonable Remainer when I talked to her. She saw me and my uncle talking about Brexit, and she's like, I might disagree with you, but we're both Democrats, which is probably the most reasonable argument I've ever heard. So, you know, I mean, she voted Remain, which is fair enough. So, yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Okay. But yeah, this is just madness. Oh yeah, let's see. FBPE. Let's see what Blair's army has got to say today. FBPE. Let's see, because it's ridiculous. Like, they're piling on Corbyn about Russia again. I don't understand. What's the point of doing this?
The Great Northern March. I just don't see that happening, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like they say, the north of England. It's a myth that the north of England is dominated by Leave voters. No, that's factually incorrect.
Yeah. FVPE. Let's
North did vote.
A pain in the arse and not a nice one. That's the. I'm gonna like this because that's PCPEU. He's actually a reasonable guy. I'm gonna retweet this too. Actually, great idea. Okay. So he does say.
Oh, Sabbath.
What's it? 74%. He's basically saying people who didn't vote would have voted Remain. How do you know that? It's ridiculous.
He's not just doing people that didn't vote. He's also doing people that weren't eligible to vote, like criminals or 11-year-olds
or dead people.
Yeah, dead.
Yeah,
but
it's ironic. They said that the old Brexiteers are dying off, and yet they might say the dead people would have voted Remain. It's ridiculous. I enjoy exercising my rights. 37. Well, it's 27, and Norway and Sweden and Iceland. So why is it 37? I don't understand what his point is. Because we can we can go visa free to more than 37 countries not in the EU. So I don't know what his point is. Right tooth and nail. Well, mate, you've got until 2021 to decide. You might as well move to the countries you like. You know what I mean? If you like freedom of movement, if you like the European Commission, if you like the Euro so much, if you like the United States of Europe, you might as well move there. It's logical. So we voted, and we need to. He's an idiot, and you just realise the irony. Okay. Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan's a bit of a weird guy. It's phenomenal on this. Then Guardian. Oh, Guardian. FBPEs we should. We're getting UK sovereignty back. Okay. Pound devalued and it's not as simple. Well, pound's going back up. I mean, you guys were saying it would be on parity with the dollar by the time this, at the moment. So I don't know what your point is. And plus, a weaker pound is good for the economy. So I don't know what his point is here.
No, I don't have a clue.
Yeah. But I mean,
they're a strange bunch, these lot.
Yeah. Brexit lies for. Oh, let's check this guy out. Whoa, he's got 2,000 followers. Interesting. The wheels have fallen off Brexit. Who will Brexiteers blame? Well, you guys for undermining us. Irish PM. Globalization and Brexit. But this was not about China. This was about the EU. So I don't know what his point is. The EU is actually lowering using the watch Mark Blight's videos on this. He's actually he talks about how the euro is designed to lower Western European wages to Eastern European levels, combined with the freedom of movement, it's designed to compete with China. So I don't see what its point is here. Exactly. I mean, why are Brexiteers dumping the UK? Well, these guys haven't left yet, so I don't see what his point is. Getting older, hammering the economy. Oh my god, this is so disrespectful. Oh my god, he's basically
These are people that have worked their whole life, paid into the tax system, beaten Hitler. They've done all this stuff.
They've saved UK democracy and they've taken it back, haven't they?
Yeah, and now they're complaining.
I mean, that is so disrespectful. Old people, man. Come on. Majority back single market membership. I don't think so. I mean, we knew what we were voting for. I mean, how can we get the benefits of Brexit if we don't leave a single market? It doesn't make sense. Let's take back control of immigration. Well, he's got a point, but the problem is if we stay. We
don't already have. We have more control than we exercise. We don't have full control.
Exactly. But the thing is, if we stayed, we'd lose that control because we'd have to join Schengen.
Yeah. So
I don't see what his point is. Wales and Brexit. Tories are using the Russia spy attack to play well, they are. Edge of a very big drop. Okay. I'd much rather run down the stairs of a burning building and go out the front door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. 750 trade deals. I think the trade agreements they have, not trade deals, is 110. So I don't know what his point is.
I think he's counting every single individual one. So he's saying like we might have like. He's probably counting by clause or something.
I mean, but it's all propaganda, isn't it? One of the many reasons why Brexit will fail, the majority under 35 years old, but they didn't vote in the referendum, so I don't see what the point is. You know, if they cared so much, they would have voted and we would have stayed. So I don't see what the point is. After Brexit, the UK will need to negotiate a recent friendship. Oh god. Oh my god. We have WTO, so it'll be much easier. So I don't see what his point is. Okay. Britain was right or wrong. That's interesting, but I mean it's pretty consistent either way. So I don't see what his point is. I think it's unchanged. So it's bad boys of Brexit who's taking back. I find this funny. So anyway, lawmakers should define. UK lawmakers said delaying Brexit. See, this is the problem. The civil service. You see, that's the problem with our civil service. You know, the report you were talking about earlier. So
yeah,
Farage thinks we had a second referendum too, but he doesn't realise where Farage thinks we should have a second referendum. It's to get rid of guys like him, which I think will happen personally because people are just fed up at this point. I don't believe in a second referendum, but I don't think it'll go the way that this guy thinks. So
no. Like, and if they did win the second referendum with a tiny little, like a 50.5 or a 51 or whatever, then we'd be even more entitled to go, well, we should have a third one.
Yeah. It's just, what did David Cameron say? It's a referendum, not a never-endum. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Putin's useful idiot speaks. I love the whole Brexit and Russia thing, where it's like, I remember it was Trump got elected, Russia's fault. Brexit happened, Russia's fault. Italians elected 5-star and Lega Nord, Russia's fault. You know, what's next? A populist rising to power in the UK, i.e. Corbyn, Russia's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's almost like the old centre-right, factor-right ideas are dying out.
Yeah.
As we speak, and people are looking for something different, and their response is, oh, it must be Russia's fault.
Yeah. But the thing is, they've been blaming Russia for over 100 years. I mean, there's nothing new on that. It's ridiculous. It's... bleak impact analysis. Probably lies, to be honest, because, you know, all the ones have been wrong so far. Putin's Russia, who foretold 9/11. Well, I think Russia's doing a very good job of destroying ISIS, which our governments are funding.
Oh, so, blind mystic.
Yeah. Oh my god.
There's always someone out there that's predicted something accidentally on purpose or whatever, and suddenly they end up being the thing that UK exit Brexit is relying on.
Oh wow. Uh, that's Boris being an idiot. Liberal Democrats are pinning their hopes for a revival of Remainers, but Liberal Democrats, oh my god, it's just ridiculous. I mean, judgmentalism over beggars' belief letters. UK's commitment to market access. Okay. EU border checks is. Oh my god. This is the standard. This is Osborne's newspaper. Remember, so this is all propaganda as well. War shaped my childhood. Don't let Brexit. Patrick's. What's it? I don't understand. It's celebrities. Just. I do agree they should have a voice, but not to do this. Like, not to undermine people.
Well, I mean, it's the idea that the EU, when it's building its own army, is good for peace.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
absurd.
didn't they do all that dodgy stuff in the Ukraine as well? Didn't they? Yeah, I think it was the European Parliament thing they were talking about this. So I don't see how can the EU, it's not promoting peace, it's preventing war by taking over other countries. So it's a lot like, say, Germany during World War II invading other countries without firing a bullet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Britain must follow her aerospace protected industry. Oh, what do you think about the Ryanair guy? Basically, you know, he can go screw himself. I hate Ryanair anyway. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ryanair's a rip-off. You can get tickets for £20, but luggage, snacks, it's gonna easily, you know, cost a normal plane ticket anyway.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Oh, we can probably go on BBC and talk about the whole. Oh, I can't spell BBC. I'm so stupid. BBC News. There we are. There we are. UK. Okay. Finishing deal. All you need to know. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what they say. Implementation period. Decisive step. Northern Ireland border. I just think personally. I think Calvin said. I think Northern Ireland and Republic should have a referendum whether they should rejoin. I think that's better.
Yeah, we should allow a border poll. That's under the Good Friday Agreement. That's in the hands of the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland.
I mean, if they vote to rejoin Ireland, then that's our problem solved, isn't it? Overnight.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's fine. Fishing deal. Oh, what do you think about their fishing deal? I think it's ridiculous. Here's the main proposals here. Transitional period will last from Brexit Day to 21st December. I found it ironic when Remainers said, "Oh, Brussels will ask for a longer transition period to avoid the so-called cliff edge," when in fact Michel Barnier said 21st December is your deadline, and the Remainers were shocked because they thought they'd be on their side, wouldn't they? You know.
Yeah.
I found it ironic. You know, each citizens arriving in the UK between these two dates will enjoy the same rights and guarantees. What I'm worried about this is we're basically having mass migration for another nearly 4 years. I'm worried about that. Aren't you as well?
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. UK will be able to negotiate, sign and ratify its own trade deals. That's good because the EU have conceded on that. But then again, we've conceded on this, which is even worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
UK will still be party to. That's fine. Obviously, we're still a member partially. Share of fishing catch. We negotiated.
Yeah, this is the bad bit.
Until the end. Yeah, but I mean, the EU has paid fishermen to destroy their boats for decades, so they're going to do it again, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's oh my god. Northern Ireland will effectively stay part of the single market customs unit in the absence of other solution. Like we said, we've already got a solution there. You might as well, you know, fuse the two countries together. You know, it's ridiculous. European Court President needs more work on certain commitments included in December. Well, she's pretty much capitulated on everything, hasn't she? She's agreed to fishing, borders. You know, I remember it was a couple of weeks ago or something. She said she caved in on EU migration in an interview. So this is it, basically. She's fitted and parallel. Oh my god, this is no Brexit agreement on Irish border. But the thing is, like, you got Theresa May and them lot just being utter clowns. And you got Leah Varadkar playing politics on the other end, trying to screw over Brexit. So that both sides are at each other's heads, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. Extend transition called if I. What do you think? I think it was extend transition. I think it was let's have a look. Extend transition. Oh, Hillary Benn. Oh my God. Use Hillary Benn. His dad would be ashamed of him. You know. Well, what do you think of Hillary Benn? I think he's awful because his dad was a peacemaker. He wasn't a warmonger. Hillary voted for the wars, and plus his dad was a Brexiteer, and Hillary's a Ramona, and he's trying to reverse what his dad wanted. So you know, he would be ashamed of him, to be honest.
Yeah, out of the Blairites, there are plenty worse.
Yeah.
But he's not great. He's certainly I saw a tweet the other day that said I'm not gonna have children unless they go Hillary Benn on me.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. I just don't think that he's not living up to his dad's name. I still think he might not. You know, if he's a Remainer, that's fine, but he should respect democracy as his dad did. You know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense really. Jacob Rees-Mogg. What do you think of Mogg? I think he's a principled. I don't like him, but I think he's a principled guy.
Yeah, he's principled and he's all right on most bits of Brexit, but he's horrible on every single other.
Everything else, his voting record. He supports the wars. He supports cuts. He supports austerity. I mean, but he's the stereotypical Tory, isn't he? Basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I found it really funny. It was what was it? It was like the Tories are young Tories are basically like the stock images in like a Harry Potter game, you know, that sort of thing. It's true. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Who's this guy? I have no idea who this guy is. Let's have a look. EU offers solidarity with the UK over spy case. But let's be honest, they're probably gonna accuse Russia, aren't they?
Probably, yeah.
But I mean, the EU have been. That's one of the reasons of the EU's creation, because I think it was the CIA who actually put money into the EU to create a United States of Europe to ward off Russia, and it's ridiculous, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just this is absolutely awful. Farage and LBC. Yeah, I don't understand. If these guys hate Farage so much, why are we tweeting stuff? You know, I don't understand. We continue to lead the change. Greens. What I don't understand about the Greens, I remember Captain Swiss saying this. He basically said, "Why are the Greens? Why do the Greens have an anti-corporatist platform when they're heavily pro-EU and pro-single market? It doesn't make sense."
Oh, I've got no idea.
I don't know, but it's the Greens. Oh, we're lovey-dovey liberals. I think that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. The government wants to keep Brexit analysis secret. Leaving the EU is an error. I don't know, but that's the bus thing. Brexit could be an error. Nigel Farage. No, but actually, well, even if Nigel said that, he's good at admitting his mistakes. So he's actually come out several times during the campaign saying that's wrong. So there
will be money that we no longer give.
Yeah.
It will be available for the NHS. Yeah. If he said millions, then guess what? He's right.
Yeah, because
but
he said
the 350 million was inflated.
He didn't say but he didn't say 350. He actually said around 190 or something. So I don't know what their point is.
And it's up to the incumbent government, not referendum campaign, to put that money into the NHS.
Yeah, because the EU, what was it? The rebates, the EU decides where our money goes, but Remainers love to talk about EU funding, which makes no sense because it's our money. No. What?
Let's see this.
Oh no! Is this the man himself?
Heath, yeah.
Oh, well, paedophile Satanist, as David Icke would say. But yeah, oh my God, I'm delighted that. But he lied to us. So I don't know why he's saying we voted to, you know, community, which was saying far more than a common market is community, true sense of the term, establishment of free trade, economically monetary union. Third. He talks about monetary union and stuff, but he conceded even more than that when he was negotiated the entry, didn't he? He conceded even more in secret.
When the referendum campaign was going on, he accused, like in that video that you retweeted from 52% Brexit.
Yeah.
He took foot that he was basically chatting shit that it would involve giving up sovereignty and things like that.
Yeah, this is just madness. Okay. The facts don't work. Well, of course they don't. Facts on both sides are ridiculous, aren't they? The
you can't.
I remember.
Until something actually happens, you can't. Can't say something's going to be a fact.
Yeah. I remember. I've replied to someone's thing very similar. It's weird. They're all retweeting the same picture for some reason. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
What's this 24p a day?
Let's have a look. Permit and visa free travel movement across 28 countries. Education. Work in any country. Tariff tax. Passport. Banking insurance. Okay. It's tariff free imported food, technology for 28 countries.
They're boasting about you for giving up something. You can get labour from 28 countries. Guess what? That means undercutting of the wages of people that are already here.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I mentioned to Calvin it was the fact because of free movement and freedom movement of capital. If multinationals have offices registered in poorer countries, they can use the standards of those countries to work here. So that's effectively slave labour. Yeah. So it's.
Oh, I've got this. This is interesting.
Oh, okay.
There's this guy Owen Winter tweeted Corbynite or because he was responding to a Paul Embry tweet.
Yeah.
And he goes Corbynite or Blairite, soft left or progress. I hope we can all agree that blue Labour are trash. And I tweeted, what a load of bollocks. I don't agree with Paul Embry on everything, particularly on Jeremy Corbyn, but the idea of reaching out to those who voted Labour for many years, as most working class people did, and now who go elsewhere, is a noble struggle, not one to be mocked. And he goes, I absolutely agree we should reach out to working class people who have voted Labour. I just think the working class is far more liberal than people like Paul make out. Reaching out to the working class shouldn't undermine our principles on migration, LGBT rights, or BAME equality. And I go, working class people support tolerance, but are not irrational supporters of everything under the guise of tolerance, such as the lunacy of self-ID or freedom of movement.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't replied to that, but Paul Embry like both of those.
Okay.
But what I don't get this, that they seem to think that it's a consistent labour value that we should allow undercutting of workers under something that Thatcher created, that we should have self-ID, which is dangerous for women, including transgender women, because it allows someone that's not genuinely a transgender woman to be able to infiltrate women's spaces. It's
exactly. I can walk out tomorrow and call myself an attack helicopter. That's where we're heading, isn't it?
Well, if the self-ID bill gets through, then, which is bipartisan pretty much, there's a couple of Labour MPs, and it's like Labour woman, I think Liz McInnes, who's a pretty left Labour MP, as opposed to it, but mostly it's people like Philip Davies who are genuinely just intolerant, but it's a silly policy, and
but I mean, like I've said before, I'm more than happy for people to do their own thing, but it's like we're becoming part of it. It's none of our business. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I saw this. There was this great thing that Jennifer, who might be coming on a stream at some point in the future, she said she'd be interested in doing it. Who's the leader of the campaign to stop Labour taking this on?
Yeah.
Has said that I thought the point of the left was we sought the abolition of gender, not the codifying of it.
Yeah.
We support the abolition of gender roles and sexism not codifying
Yeah.
women must wear dress and heels into law, that type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, Britain would be booming if it wasn't for Brexit, Mark Carney. But then again, he's a Goldman Sachs
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs globalist chill. You know, he's.
Yeah.
But I don't understand because Bank of England people are supposed to be impartial, and he campaigned for Remain. So that's not very impartial, is it? It's like the BBC, for example. Like another great example. They're supposed to be impartial, but they're anti-Brexit and they're anti-Corbyn. So you know. What did you think?
BBC. Tony Benn said a great thing about them in an interview in 1990.
Yeah.
He went there because the interviewer went to him. Well, Tories, like at the time, Norman Tebbit was moaning about how left-wing the BBC was, and Tony Benn was saying that it was right-wing.
Yeah.
And he went, so doesn't that mean, this is the classic argument they put forward, if both sides think it's bad, then somehow they're doing their job well, which is a weird argument. And Tony Benn said, but basically for 10 years, all they've been is the party political broadcast for the SDP.
Yeah.
For centrism, for pro-Europeanism.
Yeah.
And it's true.
I mean, let's be honest.
And it's still true today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they are. It's just they're all just, the so-called liberal media, as we call them, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean...
They're similar to, although a little bit less left than The Guardian and The Independent and other kind of Ramona.
Yeah, exactly. I mean...
Fairly centrist.
It's like, for example, how these sorts of outlets, they called Corbyn far left and they called Nigel Farage far right, but Corbyn is left-wing because he's a socialist, and then Farage is right-wing because he's a Thatcherite. I mean, they're true left and right, but they're not far left and right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you can call it far left and right if you look in your own little Overton window from 1997 bubble, but in reality, Farage is nothing on the BNP. Farage is a Democrat. He wouldn't want to, deport forced deportations or anything like that, and Corbyn wouldn't want to send everyone to the gulag.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's an absurd phrasing.
I mean, it's like people are saying Farage is racist. He wants to kick out the immigrants. There's a difference between kicking out immigrants and stopping free movement, isn't there? Yeah.
I mean, Farage. There's some of the stuff he says that might not be outright really hardline racist, but it has some racial undertones to it. But he's not outright. He's not going to deport people or anything of the kind.
No, exactly. I mean, also it's like with I remember when it was very first. I saw some videos of him in the 90s and stuff, and he didn't really become anti-free movement until the poorer countries joined, and he realised that free movement wouldn't work unless countries have similar living standards and wages. So
it's the same with like people that come here under free movement and then send the money back.
Yeah.
Firstly, that's a leakage from the economy, which is bad for our balance.
And also, it's a brain drain from their economy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it means especially with like people say, because I remember like people say, and rightfully, that it's migrant workers that keep our NHS going, and they're right. Yeah. But as an ideal, we should be wanting to train more doctors, train more nurses, because not only is it better for us to not have to bring these people in, we're taking the most skilled and the most important people a society can have. You can't have anything else you have in society if you don't have a healthy society.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we're taking all the doctors out of these other countries, no wonder they're struggling economically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's exactly. I mean, it's like it's the NHS. Wasn't there like more staff leaving than coming? Isn't there?
Yeah. And that's a struggle for the NHS, and it obviously takes time to train a doctor. Was it 7-8 years?
Yeah, well, so I know my uni's opening medical school up this year, and the basic medical degree is 5 years, and that's just for a junior doctor, and you need to train even more to become like a proper doctor as well.
Yeah.
So Brexit is absolutely pointless. There are no benefits. Brexit will damage and isolate Britain. Oh my god.
But like
Nigel,
I can acknowledge, because I'm not an ideologue and someone that refuses to look at facts if they don't agree with me,
Yeah.
there are some benefits to the European Union.
Yeah.
But on a very heavy balance, in my view, especially the one about democracy, we should leave.
Yeah.
But there are some small benefits to the EU.
Yeah.
I admit that because I'm not some kind of ideologue that just waves their little 28 stars flag or whatever it is. It's 12 they have on the actual flag.
Yeah, it's 12. And apparently they stole a lot of their stuff from the Council of Europe, where people say EU's promoted peace. No, it's the Council of Europe, which was before the EU. So I don't see what the point of it. So it's like, for example, they stole the flag and they stole Beethoven Symphony 9, which is the Council of Europe's theme tune, and now it's the EU's theme tune as well. So it's ridiculous. Nigel Farage.
I remember Farage talking about the the trend, which is completely true, about EU nationalism.
Eurofederalism, yeah.
Yeah, so EU nationalism, so people like look at the flag. I think he used the phrase goose step about it.
Yeah.
That they were goose stepping
basically Guy Verhofstadt, basically.
Yeah, Guy Verhofstadt.
Yeah. I think he said he should use some of his EU funds to sort his teeth and hair out. I think that'd be a good start. You know. Yeah.
This is pretty funny.
Yeah.
From this John Stevens guy, UKIP ordered to pay 175,000 in legal costs within 14 days over an MEP's libel of 3 Labour MPs.
Oh wow. UKIP, they've achieved their goal. They're irrelevant now, aren't they?
Yeah, and they've split into about 4 different parties.
What was it? What was I forgot. What was it? Henry Bolton's one. It's interesting because he said
One Nation.
One Nation. He said he'll find solutions from the left and the right. So that must have triggered a lot of UKIPers, you know.
Yeah.
Because he said we'll find solutions to socialism and the right as well.
Yeah, and Anne-Marie Waters, the really far right on social policy one.
Yeah.
The really anti-Muslim candidate. She's now got her own party.
Oh, for Britain,
So they're splitting into lots of different factions almost.
No, but I mean, it's such a small party that splitting into 4 will make it even smaller. You know.
Yeah.
No, it was funny. I remember a point when it was 2015 when they got more votes than the Lib Dems, which I found was funny. But yeah. 48 things about you. I just love the fact that he's 48. You know, it's just blue passports could have been reintroduced without Brexit. But that's not.
Yeah,
that's
was true. That was a stupid argument, but no one actually cares.
No, but but it's like it's not about the colour of the passport. It's about what your passport is. It's not about being under a EU superstate. It's about being British, isn't it? That's not the point.
Yeah.
They're just looking at it literally. They don't look at the deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't force. And Nigel Farage agrees. But we're leaving, so I don't see what his argument is. You know. Trump Twitter followers. Does Nigel Farage tell lies? Man who ran the Vote Leave campaign. Brexit director. This is ridiculous. Somewhat unelected bureaucrats making decisions in the EU is somewhat... Well, there's 30,000 lobbyists in Brussels, and they make 75% of EU regulations. So
10,000 bureaucrats in Brussels earn more than the Prime Minister.
Exactly, it's ridiculous. So his point there doesn't work. Founder far right and deported. Treating private patients in NHS possible. Yeah, Tommy Robinson. Okay. Brexit is confused concept of public health. What? It's another so-called academic thing as well. What's it with this Russian stuff as well, honestly? Who is hacking Brexit and why we need a... What? Oh my god, are you... the new European, I'm not surprised, you know.
That Mueller inquiry is really annoying. Like,
yeah.
What he's going to find is basic corruption. He will find corruption, because guess what?
Yeah.
Trump's a billionaire, they're all at it.
Yeah.
But all of these Clinton supporters, they're like the US equivalent of follow back pro EU.
Yeah.
And they just constantly go on about Mueller being their saviour. Like, some bloke from the FBI is now your political saviour.
Yeah.
What does that say about what your movement's become?
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow. Majority back single market membership? I don't think so. MPs could. Oh, well, I mean, give London control of its needs so it can fix its future. But I mean, London, it needs to give back some of its power to other parts of the UK. So I don't see what the problem is. You know.
Oh yeah, because London gets a really raw deal. Look at the transport investment, where
Yeah.
places like
Well,
Wales and the Midlands
they get like
hardly anything.
seven times as much as other places,
Yeah.
don't they? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they get 5 times more than any other region,
Yeah.
apart from the southeast.
Wow. Health Minister voices post-Brexit worry. Well, it's not Brexit, it's the Tories. I don't see what his point is. Yeah. I mean, if we needed to bring more nurses in, we can relax the immigration rules for certain skills, can't we? Which is, you know, that's a good thing about taking back control of immigration. We can choose who to let in, which is a good thing, you know. Oh, God. This guy. It's just... Okay, let's have a look. We are the opposite... What? Okay.
Oh, that's so annoying. They're not the opposition. They oppose one issue.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the time, I'm sure they were quite happy to sit there and go along whilst Harriet Harman ordered Labour MPs to abstain on the welfare reform bill.
Yeah.
And everything like that.
Yeah, but I mean they're all Lib Dems, aren't they? Because I've seen, like, what was it? ABTV, anti-Brexit tactical voting, where they basically say vote Lib Dem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Silly.
Yeah, Lib Dems, man. Brexit explained in one sentence. It's not good fighting an election campaign on the facts. But any election campaign, I don't see what... But Brexit was not an election campaign as well, so it's ridiculous. Going back to 2014. Okay, our future, our choice. Come on. We've decided our future and our choice. Get on with it, you know. Let's get to wait. This 210k. Parliament's vote on Brexit deal. But that's the anti-democratic, isn't it? That's anti-democratic.
Well, if Parliament... I don't see the problem in Parliament being able to vote however it wants. We are a parliamentary democracy. But if people did vote to remain in the EU as MPs, especially if they're in a constituency that voted to leave, they're going to lose at the next election. Yeah. So,
but I mean, what the bill should be, will the MPs accept this deal or leave with no deal? I think that's what the thing should be, isn't it? That's what democracy is at this point, you know. Okay, Brexit transition is agreed at a price. As EU-US search proposed data practices. I've heard something about the EU, like, controlling people's internet and stuff as well, I've heard. About...
What's this?
Yeah, I think it was the EU about something about the internet, like they're trying to police the internet as well. You know how, not like Snooper's child like here, but they're trying to restrict what people can view. And also, I think they've created their own European education area, which sounds a lot like brainwashing to me as well.
You should always be skeptical of these lot.
Yeah. Looks like you're watching Channel 4 News. Okay. Leave connection. Sensibility. Glad you... Okay, that's right. FPPE. Want us to smile at... Okay. Sell the fisherman down the river in a flash. Yeah, fair enough. We've got a point. But that's not... That's a full Brexit guy. That's not FPP as such. The referendum must be declared null and void. Article 50 must be withdrawn as illegally triggered. The hands of those responsible must roll, and a political system must be put into special measure by cross-party... Oh my God.
Why? So let's go through this. The referendum must be declared null and void. No, it shouldn't. Article 50 must be withdrawn as illegally triggered. No, Parliament voted with a massive majority to trigger
it was like 500, wasn't it?
Yeah, the only no votes were a small group of Labour MPs, the SNP, Lib Dems, and Ken Clarke.
Yeah, Ken Clarke, you know. I like Ken Clarke. He's a nice guy, but
he's principled. Like we won't agree with him on anything really, because he's a Thatcherite and he's a Europhile.
So
but he says what he thinks.
Yeah, globalist.
Yeah, he says what he thinks. So
it's like with Rees-Mogg, like we were saying, he's like the opposite of Ken Clarke, but you know, he's principled as well, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he'll say what he thinks. He won't
Yeah.
Until he's tried to claim that Jeremy Corbyn voted against the Good Friday Agreement.
Yeah.
Before that, I've never seen him live.
Yeah. But I mean, Corbyn helped out with the negotiations, so I don't know what he's talking about. You know?
Yeah, Corbyn's original reaching out to
Yeah.
Jerry Adams and further Martin Guinness, who was
that's what
actually in
these
the IRA.
FBPE lot on the right wingers, they say, oh, Corbyn's a terrorist sympathiser. That's where it comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw this thing, and it was John McDonnell was attacking George Osborne in this budget debate, and Tom Tugendhat, who's this Tory MP who was a soldier, told him he shouldn't dare question the integrity of the Chancellor when he stood with terrorists that murdered his friends in Northern Ireland. And John McDonnell just ignored him because it was a silly intervention and wasn't related to the motion.
Yeah.
But I think what he should have said was, guess what? If I hadn't taken that action to bring peace, your friends would still be dying on the streets of Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, they could all be dead. You know how some of the IRA think of like Parliament and stuff. You know, that could happen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like with Hamas when Corbyn called them friends, whereas people said, "Oh, he's allying with Hamas," but it's a negotiating stance. It's a negotiating stance.
If you're holding a meeting with someone, you're not going to go, "These people are twat."
Yeah.
Well,
it's like how Labour and Tory MPs call them my friend or my honourable friend. You know.
Yeah, the honourable gentleman.
Like that. The honourable gentleman.
Calling them the fucking crackhead from Tatton, George Osborne or whatever.
Yeah, or you know the illegitimate son Hillary Benn, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah. I am no one. Well, you are.
I've just seen a wild sound, and it's Yvette Cooper engaging reverse gear on a car.
Yeah.
She said on Sunday Politics yesterday, I hadn't seen this.
Yeah.
We have to have the full facts. She criticised Corbyn a couple of days before for wanting the full facts.
What? Like, oh my god. It's if you support the capitalist EU and call yourself socialist, you belong in the gulag. Well, he's right, actually. Fair enough. Fair enough to him. He's right.
Maybe not about gulag, but he's right on his principle.
Yeah. Brexit. Another. You know, like I said, I think ABTV should be Tony Blair's TV show. There's so much content here. You know.
Should be changed to TBTV, Tony Blair TV.
Yeah, well, Anthony Blair TV.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a straight sort of guy.
Yeah. He starts his program by saying, "I'm a straight sort of guy." Now let's look at my friends here. You know. Yeah.
What goes to George Bush and Alistair Campbell.
Yeah. No, my exclusive interview. You know. Yeah, it's like, you know, it'd be really funny if he if he made a document. It'd be really cool if he had his own TV show and he made a documentary series about myself. It's like about himself. It's like what was it? My road to I don't know, my road to power or something, and it talks about how he was right about everything. You know how Hillary Clinton's new book. I wouldn't be surprised if Blair did that.
Yeah, like Tony Blair says. So I was actually right to go to war in Iraq.
Yeah, yeah. No, but he said he doesn't. He would do it again even. I don't understand, like, it's a mistake. I mean, like, even people like Alistair Campbell have said it's a mistake. Even your followers have said it's a mistake. So I don't see why he should think that it isn't a mistake. I mean, that's how stuck up he is, you know?
Yeah. Oh, we should try at some point in this call to play a video and see if we can get that to the sound of that to work on the stream. Yeah. So we know if we can play videos.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my system sound sorted, and I'll try share screen and sounds. Hopefully,
maybe try that video that I sent you. I messaged you on Skype.
Yeah.
The Tony Bev. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just share and then I'll share again. Okay, that should be fine. So is this on my messages, right?
Yeah, I set on your Skype messages. I sent it on Skype, not on Twitter.
On Skype. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, you did it. Sorry, yeah, of course. Call started. Yeah. Oops. I think I can't get you chat. Was it the group chat?
Yeah, it was on the group with Calvin as well.
I can't find it. Oh, I'm looking for this actually.
It's here somewhere on one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. I'll have a look, but yeah. Ah, there we are. Is it that one?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Tony Benn, Tony, a great stalwart without pause.
I can't hear the sound. I can't hear the sound, so I doubt people watching will be able to.
They should be able to because I've turned screen and sounds to full.
Oh, I can't hear it, but they might be able to.
I'll try again. I'll stop sharing, share screen and sounds, and then. Have you turned your volume up? Because all my volume's to the max, as you can see there. So hopefully.
The view you take of it,
I've turned it up, but I'm wearing earphones, so I don't want it to be too high. But I still can't hear it. I can hear you really loud now, but I still can't hear a word of the video.
You're only in favour of democracy.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to win the argument,
Swiss, if you're still watching, can you tell us whether you can hear it?
About this to explain the position that I'm in.
No, I've seen this before.
I was born
It's a very good video.
Second World War, the combination 110, 105 million people died. And there are people who say we can never fight again in Europe, and I agree with them 100%. I do not want the old
exactly
nationalist
right,
Europe where you hate foreigners.
Yeah.
So that's the argument for cooperation, and I take that view. I'm strongly in favour of cooperating with Europe. I was for a time. I campaigned for the referendum. If you know this, I was in a minority of one on the National Executive and the Shadow Cabinet in '71. They didn't want a referendum, but in the end we got a referendum.
They've mentioned Hillary in that comment at the bottom.
And I was on the Council of Ministers. And that was the most
The bottom on your screen.
I was the representative of Britain, and for
the way Sun's behaving is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to submit a document.
Yeah, it's true.
Only the Commission, who are bureaucrats, could submit a document. I could say yes or no.
That's right.
Sort of a constitutional monarch, if you like. They control it. It made in secret. It made laws for Britain and everywhere else. It made in secret.
You can appeal to people that wildly disagree just because they agree on democracy.
The more I thought about this, and this is what it's about now, it is about democracy. And remember this, I was a member for 51 years. Members of Parliament are lent the powers of their constituents, and they have to return those powers undiminished at the end. It's not for members of Parliament to give away the powers that were lent to them, because they don't belong to members of Parliament, they belong to the electorate. And that is a critical matter. And now I say something else. I mean, we're primarily concerned with Britain, but it terrifies me that Germany didn't allow its own people to have a referendum on whether Germany should enter the European Union and have the treaty. And you know, before the war,
that comment by Brementing is a perfect comment.
Being decided at the top has been carried on to that. France had a referendum, defeated it, and now Sarkozy is trying to bypass it. And we live in a continent where increasingly power has gone to a group of people who are not elected, cannot be removed, and don't have to listen to us. I mean, Mandelson's a very powerful man. He wasn't even elected by the House of Commons. Blair appointed him under the royal prerogative. And Mandelson doesn't have to listen to us. With all the defects of our democracy, the reason governments listen to people is because you get your power from the people. I mean, being an MP, you know this, we're in a very unusual position. You're one employee and 60,000 employees. Everyone in your constituency employs you, the bus driver.
Yeah, Swiss has messaged me and said that he can hear the video on the stream, so it's just me that won't be able to hear it. And Calvin as well, actually.
Yeah.
I've listened to it plenty of times.
in the world, and it's being imposed on us on the grounds.
I mean, never enough times, obviously, but
I love the video because Tony Benn, he was one of the first people. When I saw that speech, I was like, "Am I really right about the EU?" When I was a Remainer, by the
yeah,
way.
he was the first person to advocate the idea of a referendum on anything. It was in 1968 he advocated it.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I think it was Clement Attlee in What 62. He said that we shouldn't join because the EU is going down a different path that we should be part of. I think he said that in 62 as well, so he's right.
Yeah, people from left and right of Labour, Attlee, Gaitskell, Bevan, were all opposed. And then gradually it became, as politics contracted into a small Overton window of Thatcherites, basically.
Yeah.
The Labour Party became more and more pro because Labour were no longer socialist but liberal instead.
Yeah, but I mean, the more right-wing Labour became, they became more pro-EU, didn't they?
Even if I believed
Yeah.
I think this system will end up with the breakup of the European Union like Yugoslavia.
Someone calling Keith Vaz a slime ball.
Oh, he's actually the brother of my MP, Valerie Vaz.
The Italians
So,
or
yeah.
the Germans.
She's shadow leader of the house, isn't she?
I think so, yeah. She's my MP back at home.
Well, I mean, I listened to all this stuff
I'm at uni at the
this
moment,
week
so, yeah.
about we've got to participate
Yeah.
more.
But in your, cause obviously in your town, the other MP that was there was David Winnick for a long time, but he lost, and that just shows the problem that even though we gained a load of votes in the areas where we should be smashing the Tory government, they're smashing working people even more again and again, just because Labour are soft on Europe and soft on immigration and constantly talking about things that do need to be addressed, like
but I mean, Corbyn,
transgender rights and things like that. People, even though Corbyn is more in touch with them, people continue just at a slower rate to move away from Labour when they always used to vote Labour.
But I mean, that's the thing with the whole, the Liberals, the Blairites taking it over, and then you have the Momentum types as well.
Yeah. And that's where the blue Labour types like Paul Embry, I don't agree with him on everything, but at least they're trying in places like Mansfield or Walsall.
Yeah, but I mean, I like when he smashes SJWs and stuff, that is always funny.
Yeah.
With the mayor of the Greater British Authority, like Ken Livingstone. Well, it
Jeremy
is.
Corbyn's
I mean, he
Labour.
won't have the
He
power
abandoned your
to do what he wants to do because those decisions will be taken elsewhere.
well-
and so it's the destruction of our domestic
Well, he did actually
as well
abandon.
as a
Well,
European
Remainer,
partially.
that is
Yeah.
Partially.
But
that
like I
really
said, he
worries me very, very much
backslided
indeed.
on the customs
And
union, which
think
I don't
we've
agree
got
with
to
as well.
think
Yeah.
this out very,
Yeah,
very
we don't
carefully.
agree with
But
that.
if we put a serious
I mean,
argument,
no one's perfect,
everybody
exactly.
wants to cooperate with
so,
Europe. Of
Yeah.
course they do.
yeah.
I think I expect he did vote to leave secretly, but
I mean, McDonald did, and he said in an interview after the referendum, I was the strongest thing for free movement. I was the strongest supporter. But I mean, if you see his voting record and his support for working people, he doesn't support free movement.
Harmonisation law has been
yeah, I think I can see why they did that in the referendum. If they'd campaigned to leave, then they would have had to have given up the leadership, and we wouldn't have been able to now influence the debate as controlling the opposition. Like,
But I mean, I think it was Brendan Chilton, Labour councillor, one of the guys who inspired me to support Leave as well. He said that he's leading Labour at a very difficult time where the Blairites have basically had him, he was holding him for the neck, weren't they? So they, it's nothing he could do.
Yeah, he had no choice really. He either had to give up the leadership.
I think he should have given them a free vote and come out to Leave personally.
Yeah, but the party conference voted for official party position of Remain. That's the problem.
European Union.
I don't agree with the Tories, but they gave everyone a free vote. I think that's what Corbyn should have done over the PLP.
Completely untrue.
Yeah, that's what he when he had the choice. So it like the Syria war vote and stuff like that. Even though he disagreed with people like Hillary Benn, he gave them the opportunity to speak out in favour of what they wanted.
Yeah. And then again, his dad would be ashamed of him, you know. With the
Oh, that Jason King Dominus, what a load of rubbish.
Yeah, where?
Very interesting
Oh,
conferences.
okay. Oh,
No
here we are.
resolutions and no bookshop. You can't hear anybody's ideas. The only book you can read, by the way, is Alistair Campbell's book. It's being sold at the party headquarters. Funnily enough, when it was Alistair Campbell's book came out,
what a silly contribution. Like, before you type something, you should really think, am I going to add to people's intelligence by saying this?
Yeah, but this is
And he just
we're seeing this today with the FBP, aren't we?
Yeah, he didn't. He sent his children to comprehensive schools. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And democracy will be fatally damaged in Britain and in Europe if we go along with a system that has no democratic place. All I've got to say, I've tried not to be controversial at 82, and I tried just to put simple arguments. I fully support the Safeguards Committee.
Tony Benn is right, you can't defy the public
John's reports are brilliant. I don't know if you collect
that comment, Tony Benn is gangster, reminds me. Have you seen Tony Benn's interview with Ali G?
Ali G, oh, of course. But he broke his character at the end. I mean, he had so much respect for him that he shook his hand.
So thank you for asking me. I'm sorry I got 4 minutes.
Have you seen the one with Rees Mogg as well?
Everyone rings you up and says,
Lord Rees Mogg, if my what was it?
If
you had a kid with my sister, will she be up
I think
class?
we have a good chance of winning because the public are with us, and you can't defy the public forever on really big issues. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. But anyway, but he was like, what was it? He said, this is of course this is BBC News. But anyway, that was what was it? If I wear a top hat, am I upper class? You know, that's the whole thing. And Rees Mogg actually bought a top hat with him as well. This is in I think this was '98 actually. So this was
before Rees Mogg was ever an MP.
Yeah, he was MP in 2010. So yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to see if he was MP in '98. That would have been brilliant actually. Imagine the contrast between like him and like the liberal elite Tony Blair. You know, that would be such a big contrast. It'd be fun to watch though. Him and Blair in debates and stuff. That would be cool. But yeah, if it was a democratic vote of the EU referendum, the myth, really? Okay.
If they want to talk about all the people that were linked to the Remain campaign, oh my god.
Tony Blair.
Obama, Tony Blair.
No, but Obama came over here and told us to vote Remain. They always talk about Russia interfering in elections. Well, America interfered in our referendum, didn't they?
Yeah, America has history all over the world. They interfered in the election of Yeltsin.
Yeah.
In the first ever Russian so-called free election.
Yeah. This is ridiculous. Decision to leave the EU is left to pay by Her Majesty's government. Well, he's right there actually, because Theresa May's a Remainer, so yeah. Anyway, but it is yeah. I think you were saying I think you were saying in the last chat. You said that Theresa May didn't really have a choice. They didn't. Well, the Tories didn't have a choice. Really, they didn't have anyone to pick from, didn't they? So yeah.
No, they either had to pick some, because Theresa May wasn't very divisive in the party. Everyone from Heidi Allen to Jacob Rees-Mogg could just about go, yeah, I'll put up with that. Yeah. Whereas if they'd gone for someone like Leadsom, people like Heidi Allen probably would have defected.
Yeah.
But if they'd gone for someone like George Osborne, then that would have annoyed Boris and Rees-Mogg too much. Yeah. So they had to go for May.
But Boris was a Remainer, and he joined Leave for his own gain, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Tory minute. Okay. FPP. Yeah, PCPEU. That's exercising my right again. This is ridiculous. If Brexit is such a great idea, why are Brexiteers? I mean, let's talk about external influence and people leaving. Well, what about George Soros? You know. Or didn't he donate like $1 billion or something? Ridiculous.
I don't know if it was $1 billion. It was a lot of money.
I know the biggest campaign recently. It was like 800 million. It's ridiculous. The pound jumped more than 1% after a Brexit transitional deal with accounts. stop Brexit, save Britain. It's nothing to do with Brexit. It's because they're accepting that we're leaving, and that even the EU are. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. Oh my god. £5. But the thing is, we'd have an even weaker currency when we join the euro, and we won't have any say about monetary policy, would we? So I don't see what his point is.
The euros are anyone wanting to join a currency with other countries, not having your own. It's such a silly idea because you then can't use QE or anything like that to be able to.
I mean, look at Greece and Italy. That's a prime case.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Greece would probably be out of the dark by now if when they went into a recession, they had their own currency. They could have borrowed as much as they like. They could have printed as much as they like, and although they would have increased their rate of inflation, they would have been able to get their economy going again.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember George Galloway made a great point where the EU outlaws Keynesianism. So exactly, they couldn't have been able to save themselves.
But there's a certain restriction on the level of deficit you can run for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, it's 3%.
3%.
Yeah. Time until Brexit, 375 days. Well, I'm gonna be celebrating. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great day.
Millions of Britons, but what? This guy is supporting Osborne. Are you serious? Austerity man, really? This guy right here? Oh my god. Yeah, it was really funny. I had a friend in high school who was a Tory, and he actually asked me a good Tory nickname for him, and I called him Austerity Man, and he found it hilarious. So, yeah. Stopping Brexit. Yeah, it's worth it. Are you serious? Oh my god. Oh wow. It's worth it though. To dismantle Labour, really. Oh my god.
But the thing is, the Tories would never dismantle. They'd always, despite their differences, they'd always stick together.
Yeah, we're all in it together.
The Tories always keep their dirty laundry inside the tent. Whereas we have a history, because we're a democratic party and all that, of airing our differences.
Yeah.
So like we had the Ben Healy deputy leadership challenge and things like that, and we had the Kinnock speech against militant and all of that. That never happened in the Tory party. They'd do it behind closed doors. They'd stick together and they'd be able to keep the system how they want it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the Tory youth wing? The new one.
Oh, Activate.
Not Activate's the new one.
Tory generation.
And they, I think it's something like that. But they said, it was like 250 people, and I replied to the guy, and it was like, it's more like 25, and most of them are pretending to be kids, and he's like 25, that much really, you know. Oh wow. Tory youth. I mean, it's alright if they're right wingers, but they need to see what the party they're supporting is doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the youth don't have to be left wing, but they need to, make up their mind on what their party's doing. It's like, it's basically a young person being a Tory. It's basically you're screwing over your own generation in terms of policy, aren't you? So yeah. The domino effect. You know, the domino effect of us leaving, they'll all leave too, so that's a good thing, you know? That's
I mean...
a bit ironic, you know? I want to reveal that Leave must stop believing this. All to fuss means taking back control of our laws. Well, I've heard that the EU made around 60% of our laws during the referendum. Around that time. So I don't see what their point is here. It's ridiculous. Our future, our choice. For UK, tonight's... Oh, okay. Rupert Murdoch. What about Tony Blair entering number 10 by the back door? Just find it ironic, really. I don't like Rupert Murdoch, but I like the fact that he took a massive hit during the election, didn't he? Which is great.
Yeah.
And didn't he storm out of the party? He was at a party at the Times conference and he stormed out. It was brilliant. But yeah. Vladimir Putin's election victory. What? Oh my god. He's trying to link it to Russia again. All this Russian nonsense, I am European. Does he?
Oh,
I'm European.
yeah. Everyone's European doesn't mean we should have to be a member of a political organisation.
Yeah, well, not even that. A future United States of Europe, even. You know.
Yeah.
Keep FBPE, keep the focus, guys. We will prevail. Yeah, I just remember the. It's ridiculous. It's just we will prevail. I remember this was a World War II speech by someone. I can't remember who it was. It's like we shall prevail. But yeah, they're trying to
Guy Verhofstadt.
Yay! Guy Verhofstadt. I love that guy. He's like Tony Blair. He just gives Leaf so much leverage, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't vote for Brexit, and I'm bugging it if I'm willing to pay for it. Okay. Spot on, Femi. Oh, that guy again. Oh, I found out why he's so pro EU because Femi actually worked for the EU. Have you seen his interview with Julia Hartley-Brewer? It's quite interesting. I might not like Julia Hartley-Brewer, but she does do some good interviews. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read FBP of Blair to deal with. Oh, that's yeah. I like this guy. I think he follows me as well. Declare the declare the 2016 referendum. Let's see. Open link new tab. Let's see how much signatures. Oh, Tony Blair's army of 4,152. Mostly bots probably, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. It'll probably be like Ken Clark or those type bring this up in the debates, wouldn't it? Yeah. Let's see who signed this. Spencer. Well, he hasn't even spelt his name with an uppercase, so he's not legit, is he? Deadline May. Like seriously, no, it's not gonna happen. Corruption lies, backhanders, saying the last decision you made was the last decision you make, and we accept it. Corruption. Well, the EU is corrupted, and the Remain campaign lied about the consequences of staying. So, Brexit isn't working. Well, it isn't working in the EU either. So, Oxford set for another anti-Brexit. Well, this is Oxford. This is our liberal unis. This is our lovely unis.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Oxford is full of Tories. It's not so much liberals, which is weird.
Yeah, well, it's kind of more Tory than the rest of the universities we have, but it's still a lot more left than definitely it would have been 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, because I know most of the Tories come out of Oxbridge, don't they?
Yeah.
Because I know it was a Rees-Mogg, Theresa May, loads of them. I know a lot of them went to Eton, didn't they? I mean, is it David Cameron and Boris Johnson went to Eton, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember George, not George, what's his name? I think some guy called him a Etonian pig fucker. He was Jonathan Pye, Etonian pig fucker, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, David Cameron. Did you see that interview where David Cameron said that he thought that Brexit wasn't as bad as he thought it was? Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it's not as bad as people think it is. Greater Manchester. Well, it's Andy Burnham from Rayner, obviously. Oh, he's got an EU flag as well. Oh. Will they get in trouble when... Okay. Glad you removed your FBP tab by backing Corbyn, you're backing Brexit. Oh my, it's another one of those. In direct British Constitution. Well, the EU, we sold our
Yeah, I was looking at this.
Yeah.
In my A-level politics textbook, it talks about principles of the UK Constitution. Principle number 1, parliamentary sovereignty. And that's the thing they're arguing about. Well, guess what? Parliament isn't sovereign in the European Union.
No, and it's going to be gone if you guys reverse Brexit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's, I mean, what was in it? We're supposed to only ally ourselves to the Queen and the State. We're not allowed to give up to another power or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brexit Russia. The best way to upset Putin is to cancel Brexit. Putin works so hard for it. Oh my god. Russia. Well, what about Blair and Obama and their dirty money for the Remain campaign? No one talks about that.
No.
A stronger, more united EU is a protection from aggression. So why do we want to leave? Well, who benefits most from remaining? Well, let's see. Jean-Claude Juncker, because he gets to spend more of our money on his wine cellar. Yeah, and yeah, he gets to mess around with our country and screw it up even more. So there we go. Okay. Transition deal alone won't let banks stall Brexit moves. But yeah, I mean, if the banks want to move, that's fine because they'll want to move to their globalist haven. Why not? You know, it's alright.
Yeah, maybe we could spend our time building an economy that actually makes something.
Exactly.
That actually manufactures.
That's why. Have you seen? Have you seen? Was it John Mills? Some of his tweets about manufacturing. Really interesting stuff. And he said a devaluation of the pound due to Brexit is the ideal conditions for a manufacturing, revamp, and he's right.
Yeah.
So,
but first, before that, we'd have to actually make something before we could sell it.
Don't. That's what I think. I talked to a couple of people about, like, why is America and China like the biggest economies? Because they make their way in the world. We don't do crap,
Yeah. Well, that was all started by Thatcher, wasn't it? The shutting of the pits, the shutting of the steel industry.
And then Blair sold everything off, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, Blair allowed it to go on.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, he's. But I think I've seen a tweet where he said, "We need to build on what Thatcher created." I'm like, are you kidding? It's ridiculous. I will not give up my 72k a year EU pension. But he is going to give it up, though. That's the thing. He basically voted himself out, didn't he? So I can see their point. But that's the thing. If you believe so much that your country's better out, you're ready to sacrifice for your own country. I mean,
I reckon if you said to Farage you have a choice between losing your EU pension, which you currently keep, or which you currently keep even if we left, or leaving the European Union, he'd still choose leaving the European Union.
Even though you don't like him, at least he has principles.
Yeah, he has a level of principle about him.
Very concerned about Facebook. Why the EU regulatory bully? FPP. Okay. I'm scared there's no money in politics. Okay. Britain risks. Like they love Barnier. Why? It's ridiculous. They love him. But then again, any enemy of the UK and Brexit is their friend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Apart from Rona, stay at any cost a mantra. Well, she's right. Filter. Help. Is there? I want to look for this actually. Well, I shouldn't because I'm thinking about doing. Well, I'm gonna ask Swiss about this, but I'm thinking about doing a something on Sunday called a Sunday roast, where we basically roast these people. For a few hours. I think that'd be a good Sunday thing because just chill out and roast people. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of something else like.
Yeah, tell me.
Obviously, we'd have to wait for some time, but it was also suggested partly from Hermit, who you let into who you brought into the chat. That something about talking about the question time that had been on before.
That's a really good idea.
Been out on a Friday.
You know what would be a really good idea if we teamed up with Swiss and improvised our own question time like he did a couple of times.
Yeah,
that'd be really funny.
That'd be good.
It's like we could turn all the Ramonas into Brexiteers and vice versa. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, that would be brilliant. It's basically the UK become a vassal state. It's more and more apparent that. Excuse me. That's what happens to me today.
To remain.
ABTV.
Tony Blair TV.
Anthony Blair TV. Oh, I've got a great idea. We could impersonate Blair and Mandelson, and we could say today on Anthony Blair TV, and then they could praise all these people. That'd be great, actually. Yeah, I mean, you've got Hopkins and them lot. This is a local county for FBP. You have Blair, Major, Cameron, Osborne. That's how it'll work. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Stop Brexit. This is glorious. 52-48. If the Remain campaign win 2/3 to 1/3 that ends it. Well, that's what exactly what they're doing. I mean, if we'd react the same way if we lost, but they're basically doing Farage's bidding, aren't they?
Yeah.
So pleased to see that we reached a deal on the transition. Apart from difficult stuff, of course, Brexit reality. That guy again. Isn't FBP Tony Blair's fan club for war criminal supporters and George Soros trust? I'm gonna retweet this guy. I love that. Trans-Europe Express. We always knew our excellent British negotiators would get their way after all. The EU needs us more than we need them, right? Well, we need each other equally. Remember, Corbyn wants to rob you of your birthright to... Oh my god. Well, oh my god, another sellout. But, I mean, that's not how it works. I mean, he's a socialist, and he knows... He was in his speech in Scotland or something. He said that freedom of movement does indeed push down wages, and he's right, and people thought he was racist. He's like, Corbyn's a racist, these types of people, but, he was right about the freedom of movement thing, and he said, we will not let companies exploit cheap labour, and you can't do that unless you leave.
Yeah, he's completely right, and, I mean, it might upset people's feelings again, but it's true.
I mean, I'd much rather have a slightly more expensive holiday and protect my workers' rights and let freedom of movement. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because guess what? I know it's true for me and probably most people, especially that voted Leave. Mm-hmm. We're not particularly worried about European holiday prices going up. Guess why? Because we don't go on European holidays.
Yeah, I don't go on European holidays. I mean, I go international, so I went to Turkey last year, which was lovely. So that's not freedom of movement either. So it's ironic. It's ironic actually. I was thinking about this. This is actually we got it really cheap because I think it was what was the Monarch Airlines? Remember them when they got bust? We returned on our holiday on 8th of August, and they went bust shortly after. So no wonder we got it so cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to a nice hotel and stuff, but it was really cheap. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. ABTV. Tory death tax, yeah. Choosing to leave its biggest market, the EU, UK's economic self-harm. City Investment Bank, exactly. These are the people that we shouldn't be listening to. But, yeah, I mean...
People that argue this on the left have to be very careful about what they're doing if they're a Ramona and on the left, and they argue that big banks should be able to override democratic decisions by the British people. Because if they say that, then guess what? The bankers in every election, pretty much forever, have wanted the Tories to win. So what they're saying is we should just let the Tories win whatever we want.
Yeah, well, New Labour, that was different because New Labour were Tories.
New Labour were Tories and more pro-European.
I mean, what was it? I remember in '97, was it the Sun backs Blair? That's how bad Blair had to be, And that just tells you everything.
Yeah, the Times and the Express as well.
I mean, you see how right-wing and anti-Corbyn they are nowadays. They're like really far right, and they backed Blair,
Yeah, but I think part of the reason they backed Blair in '97 was because he was doing so well. They just didn't think they'd be able to swing it, and also because Blair would listen to them. Like, he'd listen to the big newspaper proprietors and all the rest of it.
Yeah, he was actually really good friends with Rupert Murdoch in the 90s as well. So, yeah, I remember, I think it was George Galloway's documentary about Tony Blair, where he said that Blair actually visited Rupert Murdoch's islands in '95, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised.
I mean, how must it feel for especially people in Liverpool to see the leader of the party that is meant to represent people like them holding the newspaper that smeared their whole city in its moment of grief?
Yeah.
It's disgusting outright.
Yeah.
And Blair's a bit ashamed of himself.
Yeah.
But then again, he never will.
He has no shame. What's the thing?
Yeah, he has no shame.
It's Tony Blair we're talking about. I mean, his ego's so big that it's ridiculous. I mean, his ego's so big that he comes out on national television several times a year to stop Brexit, It's
but it's great because every time he makes an intervention, whatever he's arguing for seems to go down.
More Remains to leave.
Yeah, and like he made his last-ditch intervention when people were saying, "Oh, it looks like Corbyn might scrape the Labour leadership in 2015."
Yeah.
He made his intervention, pleading everyone not to.
That was the
And then,
that was the Progress conference, wasn't it?
yeah,
Oh my God, Progress.
and then loads of Progress people came out and went, "Yeah, I agree with Tony Blair. Really, I'm so surprised."
Why did they call it Progress? I've always wondered that. Why did they call it that?
I don't know. I'm not really interested at all about the ins and outs of Progress.
Progress. But it's a bit ironic because Progress for them means going back to 1997.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Brexit is the robbery of the right to live and work in 30 countries, a proper right. Oh my God. That right is being oh my God, leave, man. If you so worried, you have 3 years to leave. I've had a deal. Oh wait a minute. Euro per 1 GBP. But the thing is, the euro's gone up, and that has nothing to do with Brexit. That's the eurozone finally breaking out of its bubble, isn't it?
Recovering from its bad period in the eurozone crisis.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but they're saying the euro is going high because of Brexit. No, that's EU politics. You know, it's nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Channel 4 News. This thread went viral because it's joyous rant. Oh God. Enough is enough. AC Grayling, your favourite person. Don't be fooled, there was no agreement today on anything. Oh, AC Grayling. Yeah, I think, was it Calvin who mentioned he's Labour or something, Labour voter?
Yeah, Calvin said he used to be a Labour voter, probably Blair Labour voter.
Yeah, it's probably Lib Dem now, a Liberal and Democrat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just find it funny that people are saying Lib Dem fight back and, you know, fight back against Brexit when Lib Dems are only 7% in the polls and, you know, it's ridiculous. I mean, I think they're a damaged brand. I don't think they can come back because, you know, the people have seen through who they are. They're just yellow Tories, so...
And no one supports them anymore. They've been through the crash, they've seen austerity, and they've gone, no, we want something different.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think staying in the EU, even if we do elect a Labour government and we stay in the EU, I don't think that will stop austerity either, to be honest. Because the EU, will push it through anyway. The EU will push it through.
It'd probably slow it down to an extent, but it wouldn't fully stop austerity and be able to make us into this modern manufacturing economy.
Yeah, modern renationalised manufacturing haven, you know.
Because Germany do loads of manufacturing because they basically control the euro.
Yeah.
So they basically do have their currency.
Yeah, but then it's like what I've told many people about the euro when they say, "Oh, we should join the euro; it'd be great for us." But what the thing is, it's like giving 28 people with different feet one pair of shoes. You know.
Yeah. That's a good example, especially the Mediterranean countries. Like for us, it might have not been as bad, but for countries like Greece and Spain, it previously had currencies like 20,000 times worth less than us.
Yeah.
It was an incredibly silly idea.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, what I think of is exactly, it's like the Euro shoes are too big for Greece. If they put them on, they'll fall over, which they've done, you know. Great analogy. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, and that would be then European research groups and no deal hard Brexit would then happen, but no deal should be an option because, you know, it needs, in a negotiation you have to say no, isn't it? At some point.
Yeah, that's...
Old retired racists, like...
but the problem is, though, with the no deal argument is that our government have said it's just a negotiating strategy. Now, guess what? The European Union can watch the British House of Commons. They're not banned.
Yeah.
So they can see that they're saying it's just a negotiating strategy, so they'll just ignore it anyway.
Yeah. Exit from Brexit. Oh. Nigel Farage thinks you have a... But they don't realise why he wants a second referendum. He's to crush these people. It's not to support them. But I don't think they'll win anyway. There's no... yeah. The EU is more dangerous than Russia, says Nigel Farage. Well, to an extent they are, because... like they're, you know, the whole Russia thing, they've always been on the offensive against Russia, haven't they? So he's right to an extent.
Yeah. like expanding the European Union and NATO, more importantly,
NATO,
to Russia's western border
yeah.
is part of the reason why we've ended up having such high tensions with them.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why the EU was created, and Thatcher expanded it. You know,
Yeah,
to
like
Russia.
But the point about this is really important because how many missiles and nukes or whatever do we have stationed in Turkey and other NATO countries around Russia?
Loads. I mean,
So now, how did we react as the West when the Soviet Union put missiles in Cuba? The world nearly blew up.
Yeah, I mean, because and then America blockaded them, didn't they?
Yeah, so I think it's a really strange
Yeah, I
idea.
just find it weird. It's like how America. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
It's a really weird idea that people come out that Russia's the sole aggressor.
Oh my god. But it's America though, isn't it? Let's be honest. Because it's the same with Iran. They're like, Iran has no right to develop and test nuclear weapons, but why is it up to you? Why do you have to be the bully, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if we have nuclear weapons, so does the right, you know, it's either we all have nukes or nobody has them. I think that's how it should work, isn't it?
Yeah, and if we all had nukes, that'd mean that it's highly likely they'd fall into the hands of dangerous people. Like one of the most dangerous situations in the world that people don't talk about is the fact that the Pakistani government is permanently weak and always looking to fall. Now they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
If an Al-Qaeda-backed regime got hold of the Pakistani government, then they'd have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think it's a huge thing. Don't focus on.
Wow, yeah, exactly. It's with Nigel Farage with the moustache. Let's have a look here. Powerful and continuing nationalism. Well, EU fascism.
Let's take this off for the EU. Nationalist. Look at their flag. Look at their goose stepping.
Yeah, look at Verhofstadt and his dream for a United States of Europe. He even wrote like 2 books on it as well.
Yeah, disdain for human rights. Well, look at the way the EU reacted to Catalonia when it's meant to be a democratic organisation. It's really worried about Poland, but but when Catalonia happens, they were silent.
Yeah, identification of enemies and scapegoats. Well, EU is the aggressor towards Russia, so that's not really true, is it?
Supremacy of the military.
EU army. You know, Nick Clegg. It's a dangerous fantasy. You know. Rampant sexism. But then again, I think it was Jason who talked about maternity rights being reduced in the EU. So that's sexist. Yeah. There we go.
Controlled mass media. Look at the way they want to ban RT.
Yeah, exactly. Religion and government are intertwined. Well, migration crisis.
The EU is a religion.
Yeah, Eurofanaticism is a religion. Yeah. Corporate power is protected. Well, that's the whole point of the EU. That's the whole point of the EU.
Labour power is suppressed.
Another
the recent EU anti-trade union law.
Yeah. Disdain for intellectual and the arts. Well,
that's not really the highest point of fascism, is disdain for artists.
Yeah.
I think
obsession with crime and punishment. Well, they treated the Catalonians very well, didn't they? You know.
Yeah. Rampant cronyism.
Oh my god, is this fraudulent elections?
The EU have elections, they just make no difference whatsoever. And whatever happens afterwards
should
be decided.
Yeah, should I retweet this guy and say we picked away your arguments on stream? Should I do it?
Yeah, why not? Saying at least, 9 of them? How many are there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know, my keyboard messed up again. I've lost it. Well, I haven't actually. It's all the way down here. Oh my god. Where was it? I don't know, the thing messed up. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So say how many things are there? Like 12. About 9 of them are.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? You are. And I say, in fact, it's the EU that portrays most of these tendencies.
Yeah.
There we are.
Tag new left voice in it or something so you can see where to go.
Yeah, okay.
Like at the account we made as well.
Yeah. Ah, there we are. Yeah, that was actually Calvin's old account, so.
Yeah, it
There
was
we are, perfect.
Calvin's ordinary rep account.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've noticed he's unfollowed everyone, like most people are unfollowing him again. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Article 50 anniversary rallies around Britain. Stop Brexit. How about we just go to one of these just to troll everyone? We should do that. Yeah, I'd love to do that actually. Proving that adage Brexiteers are economic poison. I'm sorry. The pound jumped more than 1%. I mean, that's nothing to do with Brexit. It's about the globalist markets being, you know,
Right.
not listening to the people, you know.
Endangers EU ethics. Plenty of EU ethics, I know.
Yeah, exactly. UK and EU a 21-month Brexit. Brexit Great Northern March in Leeds to help stop Brexit. UKIP nonsense. Time until Brexit, of course, yeah. United we can stop Brexit. Lib Dems, anyone? United yeah. Oh, you sound tired. Yeah.
I was yawning at Lib Dems.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I woke up at before 6 this morning, so I'm tired as well. So, yeah. Oh, stop Brexit. Yeah, Lib Dems, man, come on. Wait, Joe Swinson, the guy, the person who wanted the Thatcher statue.
Thatcher statue, yeah.
Of course.
Yellow Tories.
Yellow Tory. I think they are. The number of FBP supporters seems to be growing. Well, it's just trolls, mate. One like, one heart. But probably herself, to be honest. You know, could be herself. Who is this guy? Let's see.
He's the one that had the argument with George Galloway about Brexit.
Oh, okay. So it's probably Blairite, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit of a Blairite.
Yeah. Lib Dems, the blame for Brexit should be heard by. Well, you hate Corbyn and David Cameron's your best friend, so I don't see what your point is. You know. It's ridiculous. Why are they blaming Cameron when they, you know, sucked off him for power?
The whole Brexit vote started with austerity, and it was the Lib Dems that voted that marched through the lobbies in Parliament for austerity. So, strange argument.
Yeah, I mean, but they said they would vote against austerity in their manifesto, and oh my god. Same with tuition fees. Nick Clegg and Vince Cable, they said they'd scrap tuition fees, and they voted it through.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You're asking for us to vote. Oh my god. This is why party politics doesn't work for FBP. You're asking us to vote for a party that supports Brexit, because if we don't, we get another, albeit worse, party that supports Brexit. The only way for us is anti-Brexit tactical voting, or Tony Blair TV, or Anthony Blair TV, you know.
Like, I can kind of understand that's a kind of rational thing to do if Brexit's your main issue at a general election, but it's not general election.
Yeah.
Brexit isn't on the table in local elections. You're voting on who runs your bus. Well, not your bus, because they wouldn't let them take them into public ownership.
Yeah.
But who runs your bin services?
Yeah.
Who runs your...
So this is like, it's not the big elections. It's like who runs the little things in communities, isn't it?
Yeah, which are very important to local communities,
Yeah, but I mean,
and should be sacrificed on the altar of anti-Brexit fanaticism.
Yeah, and Anthony Blair TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst 2 minutes of your time, FBP. Parliament must order revoke the case. Okay. Believes no deal is lost. Well, they're Remainers anyway, so you're basically saying, you know, forget the people. Do what you want. You could have planned a worse deal for the people anyway. Well, the worst deal is staying, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's gonna get worse. The thing is, with this deal, even if it is worse than so-called membership, it will stay. Whereas if we stayed, our membership terms will get worse over time, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So I don't see what.
Especially if we went back in now, because then we would be into Schengen, into Euro.
Yeah, into Euro, into the whole thing as well, and we'd probably be dragged into a United States of Europe as well. Because we were a so-called outsider, and we wouldn't be part of that now, would we?
No.
900,000 votes. This is how I feel when. Okay, KGB. This is how I feel when 99% FPP tweets. Fox, Trump, Russia, treason.
Ah, shut up.
Okay. Oh, this tweet is unavailable. Why? Oh, he's probably deleted it. If in the EU referendum only Remain newly what they were voting for. Excuse me. I knew
People didn't know they were voting for an EU army and
United States of Europe. Well, and joining the Euro as well, and joining Schengen. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. I knew what the terms of leave were. David Cameron said when he announced it, he said, we'll leave the single market, we leave the customs union. It's that simple, isn't it?
yeah.
So, I don't see what the point is. But the thing is, it's like, you're in your little bubble and you'll only listen to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brexiteers rant about great trade deals. 27 other countries, they don't understand that good deals, bargaining power is the EU is more than the UK. But the bargaining power, the whole point, that they're not using their bargaining power for good, though. TTIP, CETA, all this crap. So you can't really, It's a 6-step program to dissolve a democracy and its economy. Dissolve a democracy, excuse me. Dissolve a democracy and its economy. Dissolve a democracy, we join the United States of Europe. Dissolve economy, join the Euro. Simple, Oh my god. I'm gonna retweet this guy. I just say, number 1.
You've written 10.
Oh, have I? Oh, whoops.
No shift.
I can't. Oh, it's 2 S's. I can't spell today. I've been too busy writing my report, so I'm just sick of spelling at this point. Yeah. We should do this more often. We should react to tweets and reply on stream. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't spell. Where's my J? Where's my J key gone? There we are. Yeah. Simple. Quite a simple tweet, but let's see if he gets triggered by it. Why not? Well, actually, we can look at exchange rates. That's a good idea, actually. GBP to USD. Let's see what levels up. $1.40. It's actually quite steady now. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's started to go back up again.
I think it's going to go back to around $1.45 by probably by June or something. I've heard. $1.40. Oh, that's actually good, and it's gonna. Yeah, well, the euro's gone back up as well. I don't know. It might be dollar weakness as well, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, best performing things of the thing. Where's this one? USD. British pound relative performance. Well, one day. Let's see. USD.
It's having a good day.
Yeah.
Have a look at 5 years.
5 years.
And 1 year.
Well, 5 years. 5 years. It hasn't. Well, euro's gone down. USD. It's gone down a decent amount, but it's recovered most of it. You'll see how amazing 1 year is, because apart from the euro, which has gone up, it's nothing to do with us. It's
you look at the rest of the currencies, it's going back up.
It's recovered most of its weakness, hasn't it?
Yeah, and same with the Australian dollar.
Yeah. Yeah, and these have been rising as well, so it's amazing, yeah. Well, 10 years, obviously everything's gone down, because I remember a point when 10 years ago the US dollar was like $2.10 or something, wasn't it? So yeah, yeah, it was $2.10 in about 2007, 2008 at the start before the crash hit. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Making a lot, and otherwise, okay. He's trying to, badmouth Russia again. Can't believe it.
Like, we should be opposed to Russia, but all these right wingers really shouldn't. It's their perfect state. It's crony capitalist.
But the thing is, we should be talking to Russia. We shouldn't be bad mouthing and winding them up, should we? Yeah, but that's the thing.
Putin's not a nice man, but he's a sensible man.
Yeah.
You can
same with Trump as well.
Yeah. Like, same with President Assad in Syria as well. He's not a very nice man, but he's a sensible man. Yeah. So you can get sense out of him. It's not like a kind of Hitler or a Kim Jong-un or someone like that who's completely off the rocker.
Well, Theresa May. Yeah. Exactly.
Boris.
But Boris. Well, it's just Boris being Boris. He's only good at being Boris, isn't he? You know.
Yeah.
Bojo the clown. I think the Tories should have their own circus. I think that'd be good use of their time. Yeah. Yeah, I think Theresa May should be the main attraction and Boris should be ringleader. Yeah. Remain a light fish in a barrel. Oh, okay. One year where we don't have influence, which for any reasonable person result we want, but Remain swim to the surface to be dispatched. Shameless red herrings and propaganda for Remain. Fair enough. Just caught up with the FBP thing and more than willing to play my part. Wait, oh my god. Another one. 3 hours ago. Exactly, we have a control of our own borders. Why are we leaving them? Well, we have some control, but not really as much as you think.
Yeah, we can do things like if someone doesn't find work in 6 months, then they can be deported and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's not actual legitimate control over your borders, is it?
Yeah, that's a time-sensitive thing, isn't it? It's same with the whole it's same with the whole migrant benefits thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you support the side, okay. Wouldn't be in the Brexit mess. Blind faith and excuse me, that's look in the mirror, mate. You know. Blind faith and unwavering devotion. Oh my god, wow. The United States of Europe cause. I love it. UK looks to ditch Russian gas after spy scandal. Parliament having an option to reject any Brexit deal. Reject any... Well, saying no deal is better than a bad deal. Others say to stop, remain moaning. Looking forward to it. Remember how... Okay. What? I heard something about... Oh, if they mention IQ there, I've heard they made some nonsense about people who voted Leave have lower IQ or something as well. It's ridiculous.
Well, they always say, oh, well, people that voted Leave are less intelligent, and that's not strictly true, because they say, if you've gone to the
yeah, sorry.
They say, like, oh, look, Remain, if you have a degree or higher, you're more likely to vote Remain. Yeah. But that's more an age thing, because now, like, nearly 50% go to university, compared to like when Dennis Skinner was a boy, like 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
So it's an age thing that's made that discrepancy between education level, not actual whether you're clever.
Yeah, and also there's so much EU brainwashing going on in universities, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. I mean, universities just become, nearly all of them have become so liberal and so Guardianista and Europhile.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I think I told you this, but my uni, after the referendum result, they had all the computer science lecturers in one room, and they held up a sign saying, I'm European. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you are still European. That doesn't mean that you're going to continue to be a member of a political organisation separate from the continent.
It's going to, you're going to become slaves if you stay anyway. So... If the deal is very bad, I hope MPs vote with their conscience to reject it. But he doesn't realise that rejecting the deal means no deal. It doesn't mean reversing Brexit. He needs to wake up,
Yeah, and if MPs voted to remain, then they'd all get voted out at the next election.
Yeah.
Because people just wouldn't put up with it.
Yeah.
Because most people either want to just get on with it, or
yeah.
they still want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I think generally, like, people who wanted to leave are more strongly leave than they were, and people who voted to remain just want to get on with it, isn't it?
Yeah, like there might be a few lunatics that we see or hear on Twitter, but most people out there that voted remain have just gone, yeah, do you know what, just get on with it and do it the best you can.
Yeah, I remember this was during, have you seen Election Blind Dates with Nigel Farage and Rachel Johnson? Where he made up the good point where he said YouGov made a poll which said only, 22% want a hard remain. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tories are still talking about fantasy high-tech border in Northern Ireland. Border checks are needed. Oh God, United Ireland again. By becoming a member, just £12 a year.
Just £12. Like I know it's more than that if you're a non-union person of full age for Labour. If you're like me and under 18, then your subscription's £1 a year, and then it's £1 a month, so 12 a year, just the same.
Yeah.
When you're under 27.
Yeah, but join the Lib Dems. They're talking about the Tories, but the Lib Dems are Tories, so I don't understand what their point is. It's ridiculous. The thing here, the FBP are open borders. In Vernon. Well, he's right about migration actually, because it's about the whole thing. It's just the whole, it's just public services, isn't it? It's like you can't have free movement unless you have similar living standards. So free movement between France, Germany, Ireland, and the UK is fine, where it isn't. When you're moving between like Romania and Germany, is it?
No.
Let's hope he's correct. Parties collapse. I hope they collapse so we get Labour in,
Yeah. Happy days.
Happy days. It would be good for us all, to be honest. Like the right to clean toilets, demonising a little. Okay. It's just school children without shade of integrity. Why keep people voting for them? It's a bunch of school children without a shed of integrity, and it's the FBP troll talking.
Yeah. Like, Nick Clegg.
I just found it really funny when he got voted out. That face he made, looking at the ground. Yeah. And it's like, what? In a way,
that's the best way it could have happened.
Yeah.
So, he held his seat in 2015, so he was forced to carry on in Parliament for another couple of years, even after he'd been completely humiliated, and then he lost next time.
Yeah. No, we should bring him back as I think, was it Calvin who mentioned you should bring him back as a councillor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be lower level government. Okay. Well, Melania Trump, what does she have to do with Brexit? I have no idea. Tell capitulation again. Go on, youngsters, take back control of all of us. No, don't turn our generation into a cult. Stop Brexit now. We are the opposition now. EU Commission, they need our help. I think more things squeezed out of the EU Commission. Other countries leading here, but self-perpetuating Commission. Okay. We're not giving up and we will stop Brexit. Okay, dream on. Is there any conservatives who understand negotiations so far only climb down in capitulation? No one on the right, but that they're capitulating to your side, not the Brexiteer side, are they?
No.
So he should be happy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good logic and step on undemocratic exit. Excuse me, undemocratic remain. I'm starting to discern an overall EU strategy. Let them be through transition period. Stop Brexit. Okay. There's no socialism or communism in Russia. That all died under Yeltsin. You now have a fascist dictatorship. Well, the EU. They're talking about all the EU and socialism. Well, you can't have socialism in the EU either. So.
No.
Yeah. Well, the closest thing you can have borderline social democracy, but that's not even socialism, is it?
No, it's like
Friendly
they've gone up. Yeah, friendly capitalism.
Yeah.
They've gone up to this dirty, smelly bin and they've sprayed it with table washer.
Yeah, exactly. Same with renationalisation. We can't do that unless we have a socialist government and we're outside the EU as well.
Yeah.
Anti-Brexit campaign is actually featured on BBC. Thank you, BBC News, and that's why we say they're all biased. You know.
Yep.
Brexit, a fantasy claimed by FBP. Oh, Liberal Democrats. Is that an actual? Pink as well makes my eyes hurt. Remainers are betrayed by any Brexit. Leavers are betrayed by this Brexit. Who is happy? No one. I'm happy that you're winding yourself up, mate. That's all I can be happy about. Perhaps they should have slotted the catch in Brexit. Brexit trade. Euro jobs threat. Okay. But didn't this guy vote to leave though? That's the thing.
Who?
Dyson voted to leave though. I think this is his.
Yeah, he wants to leave because he wants corporation tax to be at 0% and all that.
Madness.
He's a madman, but
Yeah. No, but our side of madmen, but the EU side have more madmen, don't they? Let's be honest.
yeah.
Yeah. Shameful Theresa, shameful BBC, not fit for purpose. I'm European. I mean, what does that... I mean, the BBC and Theresa May are on your side, so I don't see what the point is. You know? Our future, our choice. The young people have every right to stop Brexit. Resistance. Ian Duncan Smith. Okay. Nice logic. British people didn't vote for Brexit. The English, well, the Welsh voted for Brexit too, don't forget that. So his argument's completely, you know...
And remember that even though a majority in Wales and Northern Ireland voted to remain, there's still a large amount of people. It's not like a unanimous thing that they want to all remain.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like, I think it was one of the old leaders of the SNP or something. He said he voted leave. This was on RT. He said.
Oh, Zach Gordon Wilson.
No, I can't remember his name, but he used to be Labour and then he was SNP, and he said I voted leave because I wanted a democracy accountable to me, and it's like absurd that Nicola's trying to keep Scotland in the EU when they want independence. You know what I mean? He's right, isn't he? Even though he's pro-independence, I think he's the pro-right kind of independence, isn't he?
Yeah.
Exactly, because I don't understand why do the SNP want to be pro-EU and pro-anti-UK? It's just you know, what's the word? Contradictory, isn't it?
It's change. I saw this thing from this really good film by Ken Loach, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, and one of them was saying that yes, it's about the Irish trying to break away from the UK, and he's saying that we need to make sure this is paired with socialism in Ireland, because he goes, there's no point in changing your masters if the only thing that changes is the accents of the people ruling you. And it's pretty similar. Instead of changing rule from Westminster, they're going even further away.
I mean, it's even worse under Brussels, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so to be honest, I think all she hates is the English. She doesn't. That's the only reason, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was so bad. They were whistling the EU theme tune in Parliament once as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I mentioned it was it Lindsay Hoyle who shut them up rightly. It was really good.
Yeah.
It's quite fun to watch, and it's like order and shouted at him.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
When Calvin's uncle decides to stop, he'd be a great replacement, Lindsay Hoyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what about Calvin's uncle? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, when Calvin's uncle decides to stop being speaker, Lindsay Hoyle would be a great man to take over.
Who's Calvin's uncle?
John Burko.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah. That's why we always allude to John Burko when I'm talking with Calvin.
Oh my god! So how far? What kind of uncle is it? Is it like close?
I'm not sure.
We'll ask him on Wednesday, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that'll be interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting to talk to Swiss about, because he's made a sketch about Burko. That'd be cool, Calvin and Swiss making a sketch about Burko. That'd be really funny. Yeah, and Calvin's like, Uncle, stop this, Stop the assassination of Tory MPs, Yeah. Oh god, this is brilliant. Guardian view on Britain and Europe, but it's Guardian. May is shown himself a politician, not a statesman. Well, he's right. Deal is done. We need more of this. Brexiters and their Russian donations are the enemy. Remainers and their banker donations are the enemy. Oh god. Peacefully and by scrutiny and by rule of law, they will be stopped. Well, EU dictatorship hammering down on us, then that's how we'll be stopped. United we stand. FBP finals. Oh
they seem to think they're like the damn civil rights marchers or something.
Yeah. No, did you see the EU march after the referendum? It was mad, and they had all their painted faces in the EU flag and stuff. It's mad. It's mad. Ugh. I mean, why would you do that to your face, painting a flag of a dictatorship? It's just mad. Not a fisherman's friend. Well, but the Remainers aren't fishermen's friends either, so I don't know what his point is. Wait, Verhofstadt? Work in progress. Okay, Verhofstadt. Well, he's standing up for his guys, that's fine, but I don't like the, power... Okay. Made freedom of information request. Hope to localise the debate. Brexit impacts more tangible. Yep, got it on leak voters. David Davis kiss fighting sovereignty. Your jobs, your borders. Your laws, your borders. Well, if we stayed, we'd get that anyway, so I don't see the point, For anyone who hasn't worked it out yet. Okay, FBP and Remain, and it's as opposed to 8 foreigners. Well, I love Europe. I get so angry when people say Europe, as in Europe is in the EU.
Yeah.
It's just... I mean, it sounds like... It makes Europe sound like a dictatorship, doesn't it? When you say Europe is in the EU, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Exit the NHS right to the next election. Time until Brexit. 375 days, 4 hours. I love the way he's just counting away the hours and minutes. Brilliant. People choose their own future. Truly a bull act. It runs the UK to be built where we heard, and this reversed 45 years of ordinary people having no say. Even though he's probably right wing, I do agree with him on this, because Brexit is more than left and right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, is he right wing? Let's have a look. Blocked by...
Blocked by Lord Adonis, good stuff.
Yeah, he might be. He might be left wing, he might be right wing, I don't know. But at least he's a Leaver, at least he's a Democrat. Okay. Government will not give Parliament a meaningful vote that is promised. Oh god, okay. Turkey is joining the EU. Pens not pencils, take back control of sovereignty. Oh my god. I'm getting tired now as well. Ugh, got a 10 AM start for lectures tomorrow as well, so I've got to wake up. Yeah.
I've got to wake up at 7:15, half 6 tomorrow, something like that.
Yeah, what time does your school start tomorrow?
It's at 20 to 9, but I have to get a 7:20 bus because
How long's
I
the
live
journey?
miles away. Buses are 1.5 hours. Like
so they take 1.5 hours.
No, they take 40 minutes, but they come every 1.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what my sister has to take the bus to high school. But yeah, I mean, she has to wake up at 6:30 every morning to take the bus. She has to go all the way to the other side of Warsaw. So yeah. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. The bus service is terrible here. I mean, last week it took me 2 hours to get home, and the best case scenario it could take me as low as 40 minutes, including walking, which is ridiculous. So, and that's why it needs to be renationalised again,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like, if you've seen, like, a lot of people complained, people always bring up the Sheffield City Council in the 1980s as an example of how, the left would never work in government and all stuff. Well, I actually looked at that, and they brought in this measure where they'd heavily subsidise bus fares, and it did exactly what they said it would. It rapidly increased usage of buses and reduced the amount of cars on the road and reduced congestion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then people go, but look, they had to cancel all the services the next year because they couldn't afford it. But that was because Michael Heseltine, who was Environment Secretary, which back then Environment Secretary was also like local government secretary, cut their grant by like 50% for transport.
Oh, this tweet's going to make me puke. It's about Cameron and Osborne standing united. Osborne and Blair, the centrist powerhouse that British politics needs. Osborne has moved to the centre since his days of Tory. But he was always the same as Blair. He hasn't moved anywhere. And we need to
Yeah, they're both right-wing factorites that are just Europhile.
Yeah, we need him and Blair to bring sensible politics back to Britain. One has killed thousands of people of austerity. The other one's he's killed a million people because he's a terrorist. So you can't really say that he's sensible. You know, it's ridiculous. They both killed thousands of people. So, you know. Oh, God. Well, this guy has terrorised the UK. This guy's terrorised Iraq, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Just when the FBP thing, I just started realising how late I am to the party. So many good blasts feel the same way. Also, I couldn't resist anything like that. A Trekkie. Oh God. Stopping Brexit is absolutely top priority. Oh my God. Well, he doesn't even. How many followers does this guy have? He has half the amount of followers I do. So good luck there.
Dig.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Brexit, yeah, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the end of it, I guess. So should we summarise what we're going to do on Wednesday? So what's the summary for Wednesday, then?
I think, what should we do first? Should we talk about the Paul Embry, thing, the Met Police and free speech and all of that first? And then we'll do a little bit on the EU, ask Swiss some questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I told her about this. What was it? That Decide Our Future campaign, which Blair funds and supports. So we're gonna talk about that as well.
And then we can go over that. So those will be like the main things we talk about. And then
Brexit talks as well. We're gonna talk about that as well.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the free speech story, Brexit, and then we'll do a quick summary of other issues. Like just a few quick questions, a little bit of chat. We'll probably end up going a bit further than we'd probably expect, but then we always do. I mean, when did we start this? At like 7:15, we're still speaking at 10 o'clock.
He said, we're going to be a couple of hours, but his streams last like 5 hours and 4 hours, don't they?
So I tell one to listen and think, it'll be great, I'll be able to finish before tea, and I end up going, right, I'm going to have to go and eat tea, and I end up coming back and Swiss is still going with his damn stream.
Yeah, I mean, because I told him, I told Swiss, I'll give you a platform to rip into Tony Blair, and he was like, yeah, let's go for it. So he'd probably do that while you have your tea, you know. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, I think I'm wrapping up from there. So, yeah, it's great to talk to you. I think we'll see you on Wednesday.
You too.
So, yeah. Thanks, bye. So, yeah, that was a great test stream. So, hopefully it went all well. And, see you all Wednesday. I'll let you know what the time is.